Ben and Woods 97.3, The Fan. Let's get our heads right on should be a nice Monday morning here on the program. Good to be with you after a long weekend. Not long weekend, but like arduous weekend, I guess you could say. Right? Not like a long weekend. We didn't get an extra day or anything.
No, not the traditional long weekend, like it was a holiday Monday or Friday or something.
It's just long.
Arduous maybe for some people. I don't know that everyone considered it arduous. I had a fairly relaxing, nice weekend.
Yeah, I should have just said for me. It was
a great weekend.
It was arduous. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. I'm very happy for you. It's good to be in here with you guys and get to all of the happenings from the weekend and beyond. And I will say it was nice to bookend the weekend with a couple of Padres wins. That's not something we've been used to here for a while. Usually we win a couple games and then drop the one on Sunday, and everyone's in a bad mood. And now it's kind of flipped the script a little bit. So thanks for listening on the radio. Thanks for being on our YouTube chat. You can watch us every day on YouTube and comment on our appearances and facial hair, hats, weight, whatever. It usually happens every day. You can comment in the chat, and we read a lot of comments from the chat as well. It's a good way to keep involved with the show. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer and the imaging director for the radio station. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. To my left, good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. Good morning. I know that you had I think you're mostly coming from your Easter morning. This is is where your fatigue is resting.
Well, my son is on, one of my children is on spring break too, and continues to be on spring break. It's another week of spring break. It's the breakiest spring break that you've ever had. So it just kind of throws a little monkey wrench into the system and the vibes. You got to keep him entertained, and you got to make sure that he's not, just laying around on iPad all day and stuff like that. So you're just planning. I'm also beating myself up. I missed the therapy appointment on Saturday that I had scheduled. I just missed it. And she called me at 1:50. I was supposed to be there at 1:30. Are you okay? Yeah, why? Well, you have an appointment. And I'm like, bro, you're a grown man. And I just biffed it.
That's a phone call you don't want to miss. You get panicked when you're like, why the hell is my therapist calling me right now?
Yeah, and I just biffed it.
Hey, are you okay? Like, well, who told you something? What's going on?
I booked a podcast.
Who told you I wasn't okay?
I booked a podcast for next week. I booked it on a day where I already have a doctor's appointment that I did not write in my calendar. Also booked a doctor's appointment the same day as the roundtable. So I had to call Adam on Saturday and go, hey, listen. And I send him the screenshot. I go, when I booked this appointment, I got stitches in my back. I got to get them taken out. I thought I booked it for Tuesday. I get the confirm from them. It's for Thursday. I had it in my calendar as Tuesday. I'm losing my mind. I cannot find it. I'm about to start writing stuff on my arm. Like I've lost it. I can't.
You need a personal assistant, scheduler, someone who just kind of follows you around all day to make sure you're on task and not forgetting any critical appointments.
I feel like I'm just spiraling right now as far as keeping my life together. It's just not going well. I'm double booking. I'm triple booking appointments. All these things are happening, and I'm like, oh, crap. So I called Adam, and I said, hey, I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. I did not mean to book it during the roundtable. I know that I've given you grief about the roundtable. You're not going to believe me, but I sent him the screenshot. I swear I thought I booked it for Tuesday. It's booked for Thursday, 10:45. Okay? I said I can't do both. He's like, I get it. So right when we're getting off the phone, he goes,
I'll take your stitches out. We'll just do it during the roundtable. How hard can it be?
At the end, he goes,
putting them in, I obviously would be difficult. But taking them out?
Stitches.
I like taking out stitches.
Get some tweezers, some scissors. It can't be that hard, right?
So at the very end, he goes, is there any way you can change your doctor's appointment? I said, there's not. I can't. And don't make me. You know what I mean?
I will say it is very hard to change appointments. Like my dentist, if I don't make it,
you're done.
38 months in advance. I've already scheduled out my next 7 dentist appointments because they book up so quickly. So you can't really change medical appointments without major inconvenience. You'll have stitches in your back for another 4 months if you don't get them out on Thursday.
I just feel like a loser. That's what I feel. I really have been beating myself up about managing your calendar should be one of the easiest things that you do. And we all have these phones, and they go everywhere. Let's just put it in. I'm putting stuff in the wrong dates. I had to bail on a podcast that I had agreed to do, and I'm just struggling right now. I'm just I don't know what it is. Just one of those weird times where a lot's going on, and there's a decent chance we have a Seals game at some point this week. There's a decent chance I show up on the wrong day. Very decent. That I show up Saturday ready to rock. Like, all right, let's kick some ass. Like, bro, we played last night. Where were you? like it's better than 50% chance that I just don't show up. So I'm about to start doing like tying little strings around my fingers and stuff so that I remember. Hannah, of course, who keeps the most diligent schedule of all time, looks at me like I'm an absolute buffoon. And he's like, well, if you did the app that I sent you that goes to the home, I go, it's not for me. That's your schedule. So I'm just having a hard time with that. Plus, we had Easter yesterday, which was a really beautiful day up until it wasn't. We had this really incredible brunch, and it was me and my family and my mother-in-law, Susie.
Was it a buffet? Did they say it was a buffet?
They
Did you
said
show
it
up and it was a buffet? Okay, good.
It was also brunch. It was Easter brunch, but it happened to be a buffet at the Omni, and it was great.
They have a carving guy?
They had a carving guy,
Yes.
and he was unbelievable, and I did get the perfect thickness in it.
Yeah, better than a dime.
It was,
All right.
It was more than a dime. It was. So
Thin slices are better, though.
he goes, I got a couple end caps. Do you want those? I go, no, I'd like the fresh one. He tried to pitch me the end caps.
Have you tried the lasagna? It's my favorite.
Actually, no, because it's 9:30 in the morning. I don't really want lasagna right now, but I did want roast beef. By the way,
Did you catch a game last night?
I did. I watched the Padres game. It was no good. So we go to this dinner or this brunch. It's incredible. The food's spectacular. Everyone is having a great time. Great combo. Then we go to the Easter egg hunt, which they did in a giant conference room with about 50,000 eggs on the ground. It was
Could they do a nice job hiding the eggs away from the children on the
flat ground.
convention center carpet?
It was like Ben, I sent you guys a picture. It was like a dump truck came in and went beep, beep, beep. And there were eggs all over the floor. My kids were like, "Ah." They ran in. There was no looking for eggs. It was just collecting as many as you could. So we did that. We go back to our table, round two for food and pastries and whatnot. All of a sudden, I'm like, all right, we've been here 2 hours. Bo's getting antsy. I'm like, let's go outside. So Bo and I go for a walk outside. We're doing fake baseball in the grass outside, and all of a sudden, my wife comes out. She's carrying my 3-year-old under the
arm's length, at a distance,
and walking out like a zombie, like the zombie walk. And I go, what happened? She goes, guess. And I go, oh no. And he just all over himself, just down the legs, the whole bit. And I'm like, oh my God, we don't have a change of clothes. She goes, no, we don't have a change of clothes. They're not babies anymore. I'm like, well, he just crapped all over himself a little bit. So
at a nice brunch.
Massive. And we were in the back, so they had to carry him all the way through. People were like, oh God, what's happening? Carry him through. Get him out to the car.
Just trying to eat my potato salad over here.
I just wanted these deviled eggs. That's it. And he's crying, and she's like, oh my God. She's 4 mimosas in. It was a train wreck. So we get him to the car, stripped him down fully nude in the parking lot, and we're pouring bottled water all over him.
Why eco water?
Simply the best. So we had wipes. So I'm like this. It was as bad of a blowout as it's ever been. It was all nutty. And so we cleaned him up, had a pair of underwear, put him in it, took him home, was just like, whew. And luckily, the Padres had a total laugher yesterday. That's what we needed. That's what I needed. I think that's what the fan base needed the most. Get that laugher in where it was never in doubt. And but yeah, it'll make for a great story at his wedding one day. Hey, remember that time you just unloaded your bowels at that really nice Easter brunch we went to, and then your dad embarrassed you about it on the radio the next day? It was. I can't even describe to you how gnarly it was. I have a picture,
rich
but I'm not.
Foods, candies. Yeah, I can see how perhaps an accident waiting to happen there.
Yeah, the Eco Water had given me a couple of cases of water, and we had thrown it in the back of Hannah's truck. So I'm like, well, use that. So we only wash our children's feces off with the best water, Eco Water.
Has Adam contacted you yet to pull that so we can send it to the sponsor for a little extra mention there? No,
but it's
not,
on
not
its
that
way.
one.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's.
I don't know that they.
I'll just take the initiative. I'll just send it. To
I
him.
don't know that Eco Water actually wants that one. It's not the message they're trying to send to the listenership.
So your boy's in here. I'm struggling a little bit with the schedule mismanagement, the spring break, the poop, and everything else. It's just really it's coming down on me right now. It is just coming down on me right now. Yeah, everyone's in the sunshine, and I've got that little rain cloud just following me around. So I got to get out of that negativity now.
A lot of rain clouds this weekend.
There was a lot of rain clouds this weekend. And I'm really surprised. I'll be honest. I'm really surprised they got those games in. I thought they're going to bang at least one of these, but no problem, zero, like no issues whatsoever. They got it done, so good for them. And
I'm thrilled they did because my weekend ended up revolving around watching said baseball games. I had a quiet weekend at home, got some work done. Didn't do a ton. Took the boys and the younger one's girlfriend out to dinner on Saturday night.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got to know her a little bit more.
God, I love that. I can't wait for that.
Oh, I need to. Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? What'd you do? I want the whole thing.
I'll let them pick. So we went to Islands, which is always fun.
I love Islands.
Islands is solid.
Huge Islands fan.
Yeah,
as you know.
Watch the game at Islands on Saturday night.
Saturday night, you, Graham, and his
Jack
girlfriend.
and his girlfriend. Yeah.
You, Graham, Jack, and his girlfriend. So
Graham's girlfriend, but Jack, Graham,
Right.
and Graham's girlfriend.
So the brother goes with his brother. And so Bo and Taylor go with Bo's girlfriend, or Taylor's girlfriend. And you guys are just kicking it.
Well, Jack and I went a little early. Graham had to pick her up from work, so we got a table before it was crowded. So we wanted to get somewhere where we could see a TV, watch basketball and Padres at the same time. We shared some fries just like as an appetizer while we waited, which was fun. Bottomless, drinks and such at Islands. And then they got there and we ordered, had a good dinner, learned a little bit about her, and had a nice meal. And everyone was happy on a Saturday night, except for the Padres not winning that game.
As a dad, I don't picture you as the kind that's going to embarrass him. Like
Intentionally.
I was just going to say, you might embarrass him, but you're not doing the bit that I'm going to do. Be like, hey, remember that time you crapped your pants and rubbed it all over your face? Remember that?
Correct.
I'm going to be that guy. We're ball busters in my house.
I was pretty well behaved and, nothing too embarrassing for the children.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then did you make everyone split the check?
No.
Okay.
Bought the check.
You did pick
paid for everybody. Did the dad thing.
Well, Rachel, we have a rule around here. The newcomer rookies have to pay.
She's like, you owe $17.49. That is amazing. I'm so jealous. I love that. I
didn't pry too much. I asked just enough questions to seem interested, but I didn't want to be like overinterested. I asked her about her job and where she's working and stuff like that. Nothing too personal.
Okay, that's good.
We talked like movies, things that she enjoys.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Did you tell her all the things that you like? I
No,
like Steve Kerr.
that takes too long.
I like Steve Kerr. I like the way that I've set up my life. I
like more of a firm filling.
Hey, I do like a small derriere, by the way.
No, that would have taken the conversation in inappropriate direction.
Now, does she know who you are? Like what you do?
I have no idea.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Riveting. She a tier 1?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm so fascinated with that dynamic and insanely jealous.
I mean, I assume
it.
Graham has mentioned
I'm sure.
what I do at some point, but it didn't really come up.
I'm sure.
For the most part.
That's really cool. Keegan in the chat. You've probably seen me on TV.
Yeah. So it's different, though, when you have a son and he has a girlfriend as opposed to, I think, when you have a daughter and she has a boyfriend. I think if you had a daughter and she had a boyfriend, you'd be much more
grilling.
Meet the parents, aggressively grilling just to make sure that this guy's not a complete creep,
First
et cetera,
question.
et cetera.
So what's your problem? What do I need to be looking out for? You'd be on the defensive.
It's amazing when you have the son. It's like it's her parents can worry about whatever's going on here. I don't really have to worry too much.
Hey, so what are you looking at, pal? Hey, do you even if I told you to pay for this dinner, do you even have the money, you deadbeat piece of S? That would be me if it was my daughter. the good Lord above, he knows. He knows I cannot give this guy a daughter. I wouldn't be good. Then there's other guys that probably aren't, best suited for sons. He makes sure that they go to the right places most of the time, I feel. But that's a really cool night. I'm glad you did that, Benjamin.
All right, let's get going here because we got a lot to get to from the weekend, including a trio of Padres games, as Wood said, ending with the best one. A little change from last year. So we'll talk Padres baseball and more. Set the menu when we come back for a Monday. Should be a very good week. Looking forward to it. Got another game tonight. We got tickets to give away. We'll tell you all about that coming up with Ben and Woods getting started here on a Monday post-Easter, post-brunch for Woods. Sounded like it was good until it wasn't good.
It was good until it wasn't.
Let's check traffic, and then we'll be right back. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Got a few complaints about the Odyssey app this morning. It is not an April Fool's prank. In fact, we are not allowed to pull April Fool's pranks. That's by the definition of the law from the Federal Communications Commission. No April Fool's pranks this morning from your old pals Ben and Woods. We never would anyway.
We could prank each other.
We could.
You
yeah.
just can't prank the audience with like a major hoax.
Here,
like
shake my hand real quick.
Like,
yeah,
like
I can do that.
War of the Worlds. Like, we can't make people think that aliens are invading San Diego, panic people, cause riots. That, I think, is what the Federal Communications Commission is concerned about.
Yeah, so I texted the engineers. He submitted a ticket to whoever is taking tickets. They're going to try to fix that for you. But again, you can watch us on YouTube. You can. What are the other ways they can do? You can Twitch. You could do that if you wanted to. You can listen on your old transistor radio,
Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter. Yeah.
X.
So there's plenty of ways to get us in you if you want, if you're so inclined.
And of course, anywhere you get your podcasts after the hour.
After the hour. Where there's a will, there's a way. But if you did want to listen live, your radio or YouTube may be your best bet.
All right. Well, wherever you consume us, we got a good show coming up for you, starting with our Padres wrap-up. We'll get to yesterday's 12-run explosion in the first 3 innings and win over the San Francisco Giants. Get all of Jesse and Tony's calls from yesterday's 13-4 win over the Giants and discuss that game. And then we'll move into the other 2 games, Friday and Saturday night's losses to the San Francisco Giants. Padres 3-3, Woods, through 6 games to start the season.
That's about right.
Against the 2 teams that spent the most in the offseason, the Dodgers and the Giants, the 2 teams that went out and spent the most on their rosters.
Yep.
I'm not gonna pitch a fit about being 3-3. They could be better, probably should be better, but 3-3 is
It's fine.
They didn't wreck their season.
No.
They didn't separate themselves from the pack either. We'll talk about some of the other baseball teams and weekend that was in Major League Baseball as well.
Did you find yourself, either of you guys, watching a ton of baseball? Because once it got back, like Thursday night,
a lot.
Like I couldn't get enough. I watched a ton, and I got yelled at from Dodger fans for commenting on the Dodger game, but it was the only game on. Like that at that point.
Last night,
and then the night before, I watched the end of the Dodger game the night before, but it was the only game on.
As soon as the game came on Saturday, Jack and I had one on the television as I was just doing chores around the house.
Feels so good to have it back on. Bo and I were watching Brewers Mets, which turned out to be a phenomenal series.
I had some dual screen action going this weekend because the basketball games were phenomenal this weekend in college basketball.
I didn't watch it.
I'm not surprised.
I didn't watch it. Once the
there were no buzzer beaters or anything really, but it was solid basketball.
The Purdue-Tennessee game was the best game of the entire tournament.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I feel like I missed a good one there.
We will talk a little. Well, we'll get you caught up because I do want to talk a little college basketball as well. We'll get you caught up on not only what's going on in the NCAA men's tournament, but we don't talk a ton of women's basketball. Today might be the most anticipated day maybe in women's basketball history. You've got 2 games in the Elite 8 featuring the 4 biggest stars probably of women's basketball today, all taking the court on the same night. And people are predicting that the games, which I believe are on ESPN at 4 and 6 o'clock, could be the most watched women's basketball games in the history of television.
Caitlin Clark v.
Angel Reese,
Oh my
and then
God!
Juju Watkins of USC against Paige Beckers of UConn in the other game. And there's a lot of anticipation for these 2 Elite 8 games with only a couple of spots left in the Final 4. So women's basketball getting their due today and a little extra attention. It's all the culmination of this entire season of Caitlin Clark and
that game,
and the excitement.
4 o'clock tip-off works really well for a 6:40 Padres game.
It does.
Tonight.
So that's going to be huge tonight. So we'll talk a little college basketball. 7 o'clock hour, our regular segments of Take on Woods and Don't Do This. Just a little preview. What is going on at Petco Park, people? We have to discuss some fan behavior in the stands at Petco Park today on Don't Do This.
What's happening?
Not sure. Just a long off season, and people were a little.
But it's pretty off-putting. I will.
A little
say.
wild.
I mean, let's figure it out, guys. Let's be better.
We may need to establish some rules here.
Well, again,
I guess they already have rules.
They have rules there, but
I think it's a pretty universal rule.
Yeah, don't act a fool. Don't get in a fight at our beloved Petco Park, man. We've had 4 games.
Like Padres on Padres crime too.
It's 4 games in a row, and I have seen documented fights in 3 of 4. Now, I didn't see any yesterday. Sundays are usually pretty chill day out at the ballpark. Earlier game.
Yeah.
You don't have the chance to get really lubed up. But Friday nights always make me nervous. And Saturday night, there was a huge fight in Gallagher Square on Thursday night. So, Dodger fans will call us all the time, Dodger Stadium South. Let's not take it literally and really turn it into Dodger Stadium South, right? We don't want that.
Second half of the program, we'll have our Monday conversation weekly with in-season Sammy Levit, our Padres pre- and post-game show host at 8:35 to talk about the games that he was all at all over the weekend against the San Francisco Giants. We got a Ryle Report, and we got some extra giveaways today as well. We'll be giving away tickets to the Padres-Cardinals game tomorrow. That's the big 97.3 The Fan poncho giveaway, City Connect poncho giveaway game featuring the 3 of us out there throwing the ceremonial first pitch. Did you bring your glove today so we could practice throwing in the parking lot for a minute or two?
I got gloves in my car. I got multiple gloves in my car.
Okay.
I got balls. I got everything.
We got to figure that out.
Use a little bit of practice and training before we get out there in front of the mound at Petco Park, in front of what is going to be 40,000 plus fans.
Ben's
of course.
worried about the throw. I'm wondering, how are we walking out? Do you wave? What are we doing?
Oh,
do you tip the cap? What's protocol?
I've been so worried
here?
about the throw. I haven't thought about everything else that goes with it.
Don't wear flip flops. Don't trip on yourself
don't
tomorrow.
I'm going to wear flip flops. I'm doing television.
You wear flip flops every
I'm
single
wearing right
day.
now.
Flip flops, but I'm not throwing out a first pitch right now, and I'm not going to
Exactly.
be on television like I will be tomorrow night.
Just telling you, don't wear them.
Do you guys want to join me on Channel 10 on a live shot for a minute?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are you doing a live shot at the game?
Yeah, right before we go out and throw the first pitch.
Like where?
Like right on the field.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, hell, absolutely.
6:20, like right before. I don't know
it's like right before.
what's the timing of our first pitch. It's usually like
6:25,
7 or 8 minutes before the game starts at 6:40, right? So yeah, we'll be TV right to first pitch tomorrow.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Getting nervous.
So you're
Already
gonna have
nervous.
you're gonna have the camera guy with the big light
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and people are going, who is this?
And then walk right over onto the field and toss out a first pitch. It's quite the night. It's quite the night
Oh,
tomorrow.
man.
My heart is racing. I can hear it. I can hear it right now. Now, I've done this before, but I was just some slap D from 94.9. Now we're on the Padres flagship, Ben and Woods, nice show that we have put together.
Question for you, and I know we have to keep moving. When you did it last time, like what was the crowd? I mean, was it a large attended game or smaller attendance?
It was smaller attendance because, it was...
Was there any reaction?
What year was it?
Well, Christian Bethencourt caught my first pitch. If that
2017,
tells you anything.
2018.
Tell you something.
So there's like 12,000 people.
When they introduced you, was it
Was
no
it a big
no
giveaway
reaction, polite applause? Was it anything,
Polite applause.
but not like overwhelming
No.
cheers?
No.
I have no idea. What do you think? I mean, there's a lot of tier ones at the games. We
There's
know
going to be
that.
tier ones of the game. I hope
There's
they...
gonna be asses in the seats, man.
Yeah.
It's a poncho giveaway night. I think a lot of people are gonna be showing up for that.
I know. Well, it's definitely going to be a huge crowd. I know that. The question is, are they going to completely ignore us like I do most first pitches?
Yeah, same.
Let's be honest. I ignore the first pitch when I'm a fan.
Please do.
Or will there be a lot of attention on us, knowing what if they mess it up? People like anticipating what's going to happen here.
I need a friendly face
If we
catching
didn't
mine.
want anybody to be there for it, we probably shouldn't have been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
What friendly face is going to catch our first pitch?
Crony would be a friendly
Crony
face for
is
me.
going to be he'd be devious too. They're all.
I've been
looking
looking,
to get us. They're
actually,
all looking to get us somehow.
I've been looking at who's caught the last few first pitches, and it's been like Graham Pauly, like Tom Cosgrove, I think, caught one.
I'll throw one to either of those guys.
Fine.
I'm essing my pants. I'm going to be like Taylor on Easter brunch.
Like, I
man.
doubt it's going to be Manny, Fernando, and, Bogarts.
Musgrove or something. Oh, my God.
Joe likes us. He might do it.
Joe's got bigger fish to fry at this point. All right.
Yeah.
You will be pitching tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
You Darvish.
Me? Oh, I think you meant me. No, I'm not pitching. I'm
You're
just throwing
throwing
the
out
first
a
pitch.
pitch. You're not pitching.
You are throwing out the first pitch before you throws out the first pitch.
Yeah. All right.
Got it. And then we do have some tickets to Eric Clapton coming to Pechanga Arena in October. give those away later in the show as well. So big Monday program coming up. We'll start with our Padres wrap-up, discuss yesterday's 13-4 win over the Giants. It is coming up next. We'll be right back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, this is a timely liner to read because it says, on your way into work, want to keep listening to us even after you park the car with the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com. You can just download the app. Visit Odyssey.com, search 97.3 The Fan, and click on our show. Download the Odyssey app today to get started. So if you tried the Odyssey app this morning and it wasn't working for you, and now you're listening on the radio but would rather go back to the app, we have been told by the engineering staff that it has been repaired, and you should be able to listen to Ben and Woods any way you'd like, including on the Odyssey app right now. Someone forgot to flip a switch or something after the Padres game. Yeah. So now we are back and running this morning on all outlets for Ben and Woods.
We thought it'd be fun to block out anybody living within the San Diego County limits.
Yeah, we don't want those guys anyway listening to us.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Actually, it's supposed to geo-block people outside of San Diego during Padres games. But for some reason, it does sometimes, depending on what cell phone tower you're pinging off of. If you're in the North County, it oftentimes blocks the Padres games when it shouldn't. And I don't know if there's a fix for that, but I would love the Odyssey staff somewhere to figure that out.
Because I don't know where the cell phone towers are. I've been in Escondido, and it thinks I'm in Phoenix.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to listen to games in San Diego on the Odyssey app. But so many times, it doesn't think you're in San Diego, and I don't know how you can fix that part. If it doesn't think you're in San Diego, we have to block it, like legally from Major League Baseball.
It's really cool when you DM me about it, too, because I definitely have so many ideas on how to fix it.
But that's it's one of those radio things that is above my pay grade, and I have no idea how it works at all. Yeah. So, don't send messages to me or Woods about it. We can't.
Well, you're not going to answer them. You don't answer them. I answer them. I have no idea.
And I am passing it along to the people who hopefully can do something about it. All right, let's check traffic. Kelly will tell us how the roadways look, and then we will have our Padres wrap-up, a victorious Padres wrap-up for a Monday morning, coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Happy to report no incidents or accidents this time around, guys. Our Cordell and Cordell traffic cams are picking up a pretty smooth ride westbound 52 out of Santee at this time. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Oh, my God, I'm so stiff.
Miss any of the Padres win yesterday? Ben and Woods didn't.
What up, crew?
We've got you covered with all of the highlights.
I like it when the Padres win.
Yeah! Yeah! It's the Padres Wrap-Up, presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else.
Yeah! Give me a do damage.
Do damage!
Here's Cronenworth, goes off the glove of the catcher Bailey. He's got no idea where it is. Bogarts will score as the pitcher Jeffries went to pick up the ball near the Padre on-deck area. Tatis advances to third, and it's 1-0 on a cross-up, it looked like, between Jeffries and the catcher Bailey. Here's the 1-1. Machado laces it into right center field. That will find the gap, and Tatis will walk home from third. And he's on his way to second base as Lee picks it up at the base of the wall. An RBI double and a 2-0 Padre lead in the first. Second and third with 2 outs. Swings at the first pitch. Hits it in the air to deep right. Wade's going back at the Petco porch wall. He looks. Gonna go! 3-run home run. And Luis Campusano adds to the 2-0 lead. The Padres in front 5-zip here in the first. And he rips this one on a line to deep right field. That'll get the job done. One hop up against the fence. Merrill has scored. Bogarts hits third. He's held there. Cronenworth at his second with an RBI double and a 6-0 Padre lead. 2 on and 2 out. Here's the pitch to Kim, and he swings, hits it in the air, deep down the left field line. Conforto looking. This one gonna go. Another 3-run homer. Campusano in the first. And now Ha-Sung Kim, his first of the season. A 3-run shot in the second inning, and it is 9-0. Merrill lines it the other way, sharply down the line. A fair ball all the way to the left field corner. Conforto's got to dig it out. Paulie's being waved around third. He's on his way. He's going to score. RBI double Jackson Merrill. And a 10-0 Padre lead in the third. 2-1, Machado stings it to right field. Matos backing up, looking up over his head off the very top of the wall. Rolls back towards the infield. Merrill has scored. Bogarts on his way. Manny into second with a 2-run double. How about 12-0 in the third? Thairo Estrada gets in, swings at the first pitch, sends it in the air to deep left. Profar is back at the wall, looking, gonna go. A 2-run home run for Thairo Estrada, his first of the year. 3-2 to Slater, bounce back to Peralta. He misses it. It ends up with Wade at second, steps on the bag. One, on to first in time, a double play, and the game is over. Nicely done by Tyler Wade, getting some action at second base this afternoon. So Peralta gets the final 3 outs, and the Pods run all over the Giants here this afternoon. Final score 13-4.
Just great at bats. You know, we don't want to take for granted Bogey's done such a great job from that leadoff spot. And again, sets a tone, has a lot of great at bats today. You know, clearly got production from the whole lineup. Every guy in the lineup at least had one knock. Just good at bats throughout. And
not only did everybody in the lineup get at least one knock, everybody in the lineup had at least one knock and 1 run scored in the first 3 innings of the game. It's
pretty great.
Which is an incredible start. Padres score 5 in the first, 4 in the second, 3 in the third, and then called off the Dogs and went on to the 13-4 win over the San Francisco Giants yesterday. Great offense, taking advantage of, obviously, Dalton Jeffries, not one of the top starters, making his way back from Tommy John surgery, and Padres did win the game. They had to get that series split on a Sunday, Easter Sunday at Petco Park.
Baseball's wild, man, because Dalton Jeffries, I was watching his stuff, and I went, oh, stuff looks pretty good. He got really hurt by a 6-hopper to the shortstop, booted it. The ball off of the mask, ended up costing him a run. I mean, baseball can change.
Even the 2 home runs weren't particular.
Right.
They were both under 100 miles an hour on exit velocity. Campy's was
just kind of dumped his. I think Jay
as cheap as you're going to get at Petco Park, but it counts just the same.
100%. I mean, it's you hate to say a cheap home run because you still got to get it out of the ballpark. It's tough, but you couldn't have hit a shorter home run at Petco Park. And I saw Jay Posner tweet that, and I got a little pissy about it, and I went, no, he's absolutely right. I mean, it was great. You got to have those, but I did feel bad for the kid. Not too bad, but it was just his defense really let him down early, completely changed the tone, and the Padres took advantage of sloppy defense, which again, people were making the point on Twitter when they announced it was going to be Dalton Jeffries. They're like, oh, we've seen this story way too many times. Kind of an unknown guy, very little, film on him. He's going to come in and carve these guys up. So I love that they came out aggressive against him, made them make plays, which they did not, and they took advantage, and it was never in doubt. It was great. And I think, if there's cause for concern, Michael King, I think, was cause for concern yesterday. When your team stakes you to a 12-0 lead and you can't you don't earn a decision, that's a tough day. That's a tough day at the yard for you.
It was very Blake Snell-esque
very
by Michael King yesterday. Really, he's got to be kicking himself. When you get a 12-0 lead, you get the easiest win in history. You just have to get through 5 innings.
The only difference is Snell, it would be 1-0, 2-1 or something like that.
Right. Yeah, there was no offense.
He didn't get the offense, but the performance, 4 innings, only 2 hits.
Yeah.
But 7 walks and 6 strikeouts. You can't walk 7.
You just can't.
Even Blake, his bad games were more like 5 usually. 7 is
with 11 Ks.
And he stranded most of those. Only 1 walk came around to score on the 2-run home run by Estrada, so it didn't do a ton of damage. It upped the pitch count to the point where early in the season he wasn't able to go back out for the 5th inning and get that what would have been an easy win. Pedro Avila, kind of an unsung star, 8 innings. Gave up just 1 hit, 2 runs, got the win in relief, and saved the Padres bullpen for the most part.
Perfect
for the series against the Cardinals.
Perfect spot.
Yeah,
for Pedro Avila. That's why Pedro Avila is on this team. That is the exact situation you want to use Pedro Avila in right now. But yeah, with King, I was texting with some buddies about it, and it was like, hey man, you're up 12-0. Fire the heater at them and make them put it in play. Like, you don't need to nibble. You don't need you have a game plan when you're attacking a team. You don't really want to change your game plan. Like, Ben Higgins is coming to the plate. I know I can get him out on sliders away. But if I'm up 12-0, throw the heater. Just throw it down the middle. Let him hit it. Get yourself a win, man, and try to have more crisp innings. That was tough, and you did see some flashes of really good stuff from him. The changeup definitely will play at this level, certainly. He mixed it up fairly well, but yeah, man, nibbling when you're up that much just doesn't make any sense to me.
Had an interesting situation in the 1st inning on a pop-up. that went into the Padres dugout. Wilmer Flores, first baseman for the Giants, went over to try to make a play, tumbled over the railing into the Padres dugout, stayed in the game briefly, but then had to come out in the next inning.
Yeah.
Now, it was mentioned on the broadcast on the Padres, certainly, that the Padres gave him plenty of room there to make that play in the dugout, but then weren't there to try to catch him or soften his fall over the railing. Now, the Giants broadcast went a little bit deeper into that, and Paulie, we have the audio here. We had Dwayne Kuiper
and Mike Krukow.
on Mike Krukow on the Giants broadcast on that same play.
Crickets.
This is during the instant replay.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's just something you hate to see. And everybody standing there could have done something about it.
Oh, my God. Give me a small break. We missed the part where he says, shame on them, shame on the Padres. Which, I mean, Mike Krukow, I respect that guy a lot. He and Kuiper constantly, every year, the number one broadcast team, they're voted by whoever votes for that stuff. Mike Krukow's seen, I would guess, upwards of 50,000 baseball games or something in his life. I was really trying to remember a time when a guy ran over to the dugout and everyone propped him up. Now, the thing is Flores got his glove on the ball. I mean, the ball hit in his glove, and his momentum carried before he dropped the ball. It would have been a spectacular play. Everybody knows you clear out, because here's the deal. If Crony and Kim and Manny are standing there and they catch him as soon as he hits that padding, that's interference. The ball's in play. It's still live. He's going for the ball. Imagine Krukow's reaction.
And it's not safe.
It's not safe.
Imagine metal spikes and he's tumbling forward.
Yeah, and imagine Krukow's reaction if he goes over to make a play and there's Manny Machado to put up the brakes so that he doesn't come into the dugout, put his hands out and keep him away. It's just, I was like, what are we making a big deal out of a play that we've seen 1,000 times?
I mean, I certainly have heard the baseball wisdom that if it's an opposing player, you're not going to say anything. Why would you help them out? Now, what do you do if it's your guy coming over? You're like, are you saying things like close to the rail, at the rail?
Got room.
Do you kind of get low and try to catch him if you know he might be going over? What can you do if it's your player? And should you do at least some of that if it's the opposing player?
I don't.
I mean, you don't want Wilmer Flores to fall on you and you get hurt because you were trying to catch him as well.
The thing is just like we've all seen that play so many times to where I can't recall. Like, what did he want us to do? Get one of those fireman thing and hold it out under so he falls on that? I didn't understand. I don't want Wilmer Flores to get hurt. Certainly, Wilmer probably needs to pull up on that one, right? Pull up, knowing that the railing's going to be there. He really made a valiant effort, and it would have been a spectacular catch. And like I said, he did get glove on the ball. I mean, he was still very much active in making that play. I just couldn't get my head around. And I guess they went back to it in the 7th inning, and they were still pissy about that the Padres weren't there to boost him up and do a trust fall with him, which was weird. It was very weird to me, and I thought a little bit unnecessary. But yeah, I mean, he almost had that ball. I mean, he was really, really on it. So yeah, and it's happening in light speed. Guy is running over, ball, and then he goes over. What are you supposed to do?
You saw one or two of the Padres players, they're looking up at the ball. They don't want to get hit, by a pop-up that lands on their head either. So they're kind of diving out of the way to clear out of the area. I just think if there's a way you can help a guy from not, hitting hard against the bench or something, sure, go ahead and help them. But for the most part, there's not a lot you can do there.
Think about
to save an opposing player from going into your dugout.
Think about football when the guy's running out of bounds and everybody just moves and the guy slides and slams into the bench. The other option is to stand there like a brick wall and the guy runs flat into you. That doesn't look necessarily good either. I just thought, for me, it was much ado about nothing until people started tweeting me like, dude, you got to hear these guys losing their mind about this thing, about him going into the dugout.
You sent that over to us. I'm like, we're up 12-0. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point we weren't. I don't think.
That was the first inning.
That was the first inning.
But by the time I heard the audio, it was 12-0.
Unless you were watching the Giants broadcast, it was 12-0 by the time anybody here saw it.
Right, but at the time it was 0-0 game.
I know, but by the time it was brought to
Paul
your
just
attention,
couldn't get worked up about it. By the time it came to his attention that the Giants had
Right.
said something, the game was 12-0. It did lead to the very, I thought, odd scene, which rightfully so.
Oh, that was
But Bob
weird.
Melvin back in the Padres dugout with all the
Creeped
players,
me out
like saying,
to
"Well, we'll
know-
never see Bob Melvin in a Padres dugout again." No, first weekend he's back in there.
Creeped me out to
Obviously,
no end.
concern for his player, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it was a very strange scene with the dugout camera looking and saying Schilt and Bomel.
I mean,
and
it would have
both
been
of them
weird.
in the Padres
It would have been weird to
dugout
see
right there.
Torey Lavulo in the Padres
Yeah.
dugout, let alone the most recent Padres manager, like literally from last year.
Him walking out, giving a head nod. Do you see Schilt behind him looking like a straight serial killer? He's walking out. Here's Schilt staring at him like Jack Torrance. It was fantastic.
Get out of my personal space.
Yeah, please beat it. You don't belong in here.
Bob.
It was great.
Well, Padres will face the Giants again later this week, of course, up in San Francisco. So we'll renew hostilities at Oracle Park starting on Friday. All right, we'll come back hour number 2, talk about some of the other games. Saturday's loss, although Mike Schilt had some positive things to say about that loss, coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. One more note on yesterday's game, because I watched or heard, I think, every at-bat of the weekend's games, except for one. I was driving into Channel 10 yesterday, listening to Jesse and Tony, and the Giants were up and had a bit of a rally. And when I walked into the studio and I flipped on the television, something had happened involving an infield fly, and I never saw it. I never saw a replay. What? Because Jeff in the chat mentioned that Bob Melvin was upset.
Bizarre.
What happened on that play yesterday on the infield fly rule that was called?
So Kimmy goes back for a pop fly, and initially when it was hit, it looked like it was going to land in the infield, and you saw him just backpedal, which is the backpedal bit is it's the worst feeling ever. When you're backpedaling for a ball, more than, I'd say probably 6 steps, you're like, I'm dead.
If it's more than a couple of steps, you should turn around, run to the spot, and then turn back around.
Yeah. But he was in full backpedal mode. It was right in no man's land. And we caught a huge break there, in my opinion, by getting the infield fly rule banged there. I saw a lot of people saying, now, I'm both.
I mean, he was in left field.
Yeah, I mean, he was
nowhere near the infield.
He was probably 10 steps back from the dirt, the edge of the dirt. And
it was a premature infield fly call from the umpires.
Apparently, and Mud and Don were trying to explain it too. There's some rule about reasonably catching it. Like, is it reasonable that infielder is going to catch the ball
with regular
effort? And this was in that umpire's opinion. This was regular effort. Now, it landed over his glove. We dropped. So Bo was laying next to me.
Profar probably had a better chance.
Yeah, and Bo asks me, 6 years old, he goes, how did we get an out there? And I just started to sweat. I go, how do I explain this to him? We're not there yet. Like, we're still playing T-ball. And I said, all right, man, here's the best way I can explain it. If there's runners on first and second, less than 2 outs, right? 1 out or 0 outs, and a ball is hit in the infield, the batter is out. And he said, why? He goes, what if they don't catch it? I go, because they can let it drop, and the base runners, I was like, I don't know how to explain it to you. Like, it's to protect the offense, I guess. And somebody said on Twitter, I hate the infield fly rule. I say, just don't call it anymore and let's see what happens. Do you know how many innings you know how much it would cost you? Like, you say that, it would be the worst thing ever. Guy lets it drop, and it's double play. I mean, almost every time. Unless the guy, but you can also think ball hits straight in the air, everyone's just tearing around the bases. But if he catches it, you're doubled off.
So
sucks.
It's been suggested, and I think A.J. Cassaville, by the way, congratulations to
yes.
MLB.com's A.J. Cassaville, became a dad on opening day.
Pretty awesome.
Which is very cool. He had a cool tweet. I wasn't at Padres opening day because it was my opening day as a Padre, becoming a father. So congratulations to A.J. But he said, do away with the infield fly rule.
He always says that.
I mean,
you can't.
Wouldn't it be a thrilling play trying to decide whether the guy's going to drop it on purpose or let it go? And
would not be.
You have chaos on the base pads. I mean, baseball is entertainment, and that would be entertaining if the ball was popped up. Hey, if you're the batter, don't pop it up when there's runners on base.
Yes, it's just that easy.
I know it's not that easy.
98-mile-an-hour sinker on your
It's not that easy, of course. But
take it the other way.
Go oppo with it.
But you would never put it in the umpire's hands of trying to decide, whether it's a reasonably caught pop fly or not. I'm just saying that there is an alternative.
Mudley made a really good point because Bob Melvin came out to argue. But had he caught the ball, there were going to be runners at first and second. Because he dropped the ball, they advanced to second and third. That's 2 more runners in scoring position, right? Even though the guy's out.
Well, had he dropped it, it probably would have been bases loaded and there had been no outs at all.
So if that rule's not called.
If they don't call it, it's a single.
There was 1 out.
The bases loaded with 1 out.
If they don't call it,
second and third with 2 outs.
Bases loaded.
I would rather have bases loaded with 1 out than second and third with 2 outs for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because the batter wouldn't be out. He would have reached, and the other guys would have probably made it to the next base still, like they did anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why he argued. But once you've called it, you can't take it back.
Right.
It's a no take backs. It's like playground rules. No take backs. Once you've said infield fly, it doesn't matter. At that point, Ha-Seong Kim doesn't really have to go after it at all.
It's
just like guys oftentimes will drop it on purpose once the infield fly rule has been called, just to see if they can deke a guy into leaving. And I saw it on the Sunday Night Baseball game. Happened with the Cardinals and Dodgers last night. Hey, drop it. What's the maybe someone will make a mistake. So once that happens, it doesn't really matter if Ha-Seong Kim catches it or not. So you can't say, well, it wasn't that. You can complain to the umpire and go, that was a lousy call. You shouldn't have called the infield fly. And you might be right, but there's nothing they can do about it. Once they've called it, they've called it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, as obviously evidenced, it doesn't have to be clearly within the infield dirt, right? Again, reasonable effort from the infielders to catch it.
But it shouldn't be halfway out in the left field.
I've seen some egregious ones over the years that you make you shake your head. But, this one, I mean, look, we caught a break. We didn't catch a lot of breaks last year. I'll take them as we can get them.
We need a contestant. We get a new prize this month for Take on Woods, another getaway to Las Vegas, concert tickets to Kool and the Gang, I believe. Yeah, Kool and the Gang coming to the Westgate. So if you'd like to play Take on Woods here in a couple of minutes, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Quickly on Saturday's game, Dylan Cease making his Padres debut, and he wasn't bad. 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. The Padres just could not get anything going offensively against Jordan Hicks, the converted reliever, who has added some pitches, had some nasty stuff. I mean, impressive work by Jordan Hicks. He also got a little bit lucky when the Padres did load the bases. Jackson Merrill hit a line drive on him and go, here we go. And, of course, it went right at the shortstop. So, Padres got some breaks yesterday. Giants got a big break. And then, of course, the game was completely blown out in the 8th inning when Tom Musgrove came on and allowed 6 runs, including the first career home run for Jung-Ho Lee, as the Giants won it 9-6. Now, it was 9-1 going into the bottom of the ninth when the Padres rallied for 5 runs. Eggy Rosario and Graham Pauley both getting home runs, including Pauley's first major league hit being a home run off the pole in right field. And Mike Shildt said after the game, he likes that fight. He likes to see that fight from his team, even down 9-1, battling in the 9th inning. And you can say it doesn't matter, or you can argue it had a carryover effect. Padres ended up scoring 17 runs in a 4-inning span from the 9th inning on Saturday through the 3rd inning yesterday. Do you believe that there's any carryover, that fight means anything to you when you're down 9-1, Woods?
Not really. I don't. Back to Cease, though, quickly. Couple of bleeders cost him.
Yeah.
That bleeder that Profar decided to slide for, that ended up scooting down the line. I mean, again.
And Profar said, I didn't want to collide with
which has been
Wade, was it?
Yeah.
Or Eggy? No, Wade, I think.
Been an issue here the last few years. I mean, some bad luck, certainly. I like Dylan Cease. I like what he brings to the table. I think he's going to get better. Same with Michael King. They both have swing and miss stuff. They're going to be fine once they settle in my opinion. And we'll get to the Joe Musgrove game later. That's the one I'm probably the most concerned about, what I saw on Friday. But yeah, man, just kind of a clunker of a game, and a very cool moment for Graham Pauley. Don't want to take that away from him. I mean, and getting it off of Camilo Doval that's quite an accomplishment. He's really, really good. It was so reminiscent watching a game like this. We had so many of those games last year, the blowout games where it's like Bob Melvin would put in Josh Hader in a weird spot, just to get him some work. And don't know that it cost the Giants yesterday because it was not a close game at all. But, yeah, Camilo Doval coming in a blowout and giving up 5 runs. That's a guy that's not really used to pitching in that situation either. So it's just it was a wonky game. I don't really buy into the momentum thing from game to game. It's different pitchers. It's a different lineup. Was I excited to see him get his first knock? Yeah, hell yeah. I thought it was great.
He dodged a lot of traffic, some of which he created. He'll clearly be better next time.
Sorry, I wanted to play the one of Shildt talking about the fight.
You might think I'm nuts, but I'm more proud about this club, or maybe equally as proud. It's representative of 2 ways. As the first game when we came back, and obviously won, clearly, don't misrepresent this. We're here to win games. But being able to come back down 9-3, that's, who you are is what you do when you're not completely comfortable. And no one was loving that situation we were in, but not one guy was giving in at 1 iota.
I don't know that it means a ton. I did see a lot of outcry after the game, after Paulie's home run. Let's see him in the lineup every day.
Yeah,
he did get a start yesterday, had an RBI single, knocked home Jackson Merrill, ended up 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. I don't know. I guess time will tell. Does Graham Paulie belong in the big leagues yet? Should he be the everyday guy for the Padres at third base while Manny's still recovering and DHing? I don't know if he's earned more starts or if we'll see Tyler Wade back out there today. I'm not sure. But I do know that if he's not going to play every day, I tend to agree with everybody that says he needs to go be playing then down in AA or AAA and not just be sitting on the bench on the big league.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked what I've seen from him. And, yeah, early in that game, gets the knock, gets the RBI. That was a cool moment, too. So there's a lot to like about what these guys are doing right now. And I don't know what it is. It's because there's a higher ceiling with those guys. You know what the ceiling is for Tyler Wade. We've seen it. He's at it. That's what it is. But with Graham Paulie, you're like, sky's the limit, man. So if you're going to do this, don't half-ass it. If you're really going to inject the youth movement into this team, I think fans can get behind that. I think we can. And at least the fans I've talked to are like, no, let's see it, man. Let's see these guys sink or swim. And so far, they're doing more swimming than sinking, that's for sure.
All right, we'll get back to the Padres in a minute. Right now, though, it is time to play a little Take on Woods. All right, got a couple options here. Let's try Andy today. Andy, are you there?
I'm here.
Andy, you're in. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. And as I said, got a brand new prize up for grabs here in the month of April. Happy April. We're a quarter of the way through 2024 already. If you can beat or tie Woods, you'll qualify for our grand prize drawing 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and 2 tickets to the legendary funk group Kool and the Gang, returning by popular demand to the stage, their residency through 2024. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and check out the $70 million in room renovations at the Westgate, home of legendary Vegas fun. All right, you get to pick our category in our musical trivia challenge. Still have Sunshine Through the Decades. That's an all 2-second song edition featuring the word sunshine in all the titles. Chow Time, the word eat, key in all of those answers. And our new category, Creatures of the Cold. Those are 5 musical answers with animals you'd find in snowy climates. So, Sunshine Through the Decades, Chow Time, or Creatures of the Cold, Andy?
Sunshine.
Sunshine Through the Decades. Ooh, we're getting musical today. All right, so you've got 5 songs. And to score each point, you need to give me the title of the song and the artist. Paulie has put this all together. We've got little clips. You will hear them all, and they all include the word sunshine in each title. And they each come from a different decade as well, starting with the 60s and finishing in the 2000s. So I don't think I can help you any more than that. Andy, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Sunshine Through the Decades, beginning in the 60s, all 2-second songs. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Andy. Let's take on Woods.
I need to laugh, and when the sun is out.
All right, sound number 2.
Wonder this time where she's gone.
Oh boy, where's the sunshine gone? And I don't know.
Incorrect. Let's go to song number 3.
Walking on Sunshine, Katrina in the Way.
Correct. Song number 4.
Oh, next one.
All right, number 5.
Nope.
All right, go back to the first one.
Oh, boy.
I need to laugh, and when the sun is out.
No idea.
Oh, let's go to the 4th one again. I don't know if we're going to get any more of these. All right, you got the one. You got Walking on Sunshine from the 80s, 1983, Katrina and the Waves. First one was Good Day Sunshine, 1966 by the Beatles. Second one was Ain't No Sunshine, 1971 by Bill Withers. 1999 was Steal My Sunshine by Len. And 2007's Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield. I think I forgot to put that one on there, but that's correct. The artist on that one, Paulie?
Yeah.
All right. That's probably not going to do it. We'll see how Woods does. Woods doesn't get the category going up against Andy, but I do have to tell him that this is an all 2-second song edition of Take on Woods.
All right.
So, you know how it works. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Andy.
I need to laugh, and when the sun is out.
All right, come back to it.
All right, song number 2.
Wonder this time where she's gone.
Crap. Bill Withers. Ain't No Sunshine.
Correct. Song number 3.
Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves.
Correct. Song number 4.
That's Len, Steal My Sunshine.
Correct. Song number 5.
That sounds terrible. I have no idea.
All right, go back to song number 1.
I need to laugh, and when the sun is out.
It's the Beatles. Is it the Beatles?
It is the Beatles, yep.
It's something Sunshine. I don't know.
Yes. And the last one again.
No, God, I have no idea. What was that?
No idea on that one?
No.
All right, you got 3, which is a 3-1 win. Sunshine Through the Decades. So we had a different song each decade with Sunshine in the title. The Beatles one is Good Day Sunshine.
Good Day Sunshine.
She could have gotten. The last one, you did not get Pocket Full of Sunshine, Natasha Bedingfield.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that one?
No.
I thought you might have played that one a few times.
No. We didn't.
Really?
No.
I'm surprised you didn't play that one.
You
at least
absolutely-
you
Play me-
absolutely played that song on the radio. There's almost no. I mean, there's no way you could have not played that song on the radio. It was everywhere in the late 2000s.
Can't believe I missed that Beatles one.
But maybe you can get around to radio until a little bit after.
I was thinking of Here Comes the Sun, and I knew it wasn't that.
It wasn't.
I've never heard that song in my life. I've never heard
I'm
it.
surprised that you didn't know
You think
that
we
one.
would play that on... I mean, we played weird stuff.
I have no idea what you actually played on that station. All right, well, congratulations, Woods. You get the win
Dub's a
in
dub.
our all 2-second song edition. We'll try to qualify someone for the new trip to Vegas again tomorrow. When we come back, we got Don't Do This. We already teased one story, fan behavior at Petco Park, an issue over the weekend.
What are we doing here?
We also had a unbelievable mistake in the NCAA women's basketball tournament over the weekend as well. Get to all of that coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Now let's jump right into it. Don't do this for a Monday. And we'll start with the almost unbelievable scene from Portland, Oregon yesterday in the Women's Elite Eight. North Carolina State set to take on top-seeded Texas for a spot in the Final Four. And as the teams were practicing, shooting around before the game, they realized that one side's three-point line was noticeably shorter than the other side's three-point line on the court. And they got out the tape measures, did the whole thing, and it's true that one's was the correct 22 feet, 1.75 inches from the center of the basket to the top of the arc. The other one was definitely shorter than that. Now, there's a double problem here. First of all, they had already played 4 regional semifinal games on the exact same court the last 2 days, and no one had noticed it the entire time.
That's unbelievable.
Once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it.
Was one team's 3-point shots just coming up short every single time?
Or going long, I would think.
Or
if their
slamming
toes
off
were
the
on the line
backboard.
and they were actually shorter than they expected it to be, they should have been going long. I don't know. But that led to the other issue, was they had this game to play. And they didn't really have any way to fix it before game time. I mean, you could try to
strip the entire court,
put a tape out, but it was to repaint and strip the court would have taken hours, and they didn't have hours. So the coaches eventually just said, I guess we'll each go each direction once, and we'll just live with it and play with it. So they did. NC State ended up winning 76-66 over Texas. And they are repainting. They have one more game to play there today. So they are restripping and repainting the court. So it should be accurate for today's game. But one of the coaches said, I hate to say this, but I have a lot of colleagues that would say only in women's basketball. I mean, it's a shame, really, that it's even happened, but it is what it is. It's hard to believe. No one noticed it the first couple of days.
I'd say so.
That's shocking, actually.
And then they finally did. And, and there was nothing they could do about it for the game yesterday.
That's terrible. That's
pretty
terrible.
bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I don't think they've ever figured out who exactly is to blame. The NCAA contract's out. Obviously, the Moda Center, which is where the Portland Trailblazers play, they have a different court for the NBA, which has longer three-point lines. I'm assuming they've been accurate all season long, but maybe they should measure it just to be sure. And then they made this new court for the NCAA tournament, and someone just biffed it, royally messed up the measurements, and did not get the three-point line accurate on there.
I'd say that's a detail you don't want to miss.
No.
And you're right. It's crazy that so many coaches missed it. Playing games. So this is just a little PSA from your old pal Woods and your friends here at Ben and Woods. I've seen the last couple of days a lot of video coming in from Petco Park. So I saw a brawl in Gallagher Square on opening day. Might I remind you guys that that was also the remembrance for our beloved departed pacifist owner Peter Seidler. There was a huge brawl out in Gallagher Square on Thursday. Then there was a slapping incident on Friday. Saw a Padres fan
went viral all over the place. TMZ everywhere. I saw that video. Paulie's playing it on our YouTube stream.
Yeah, female
everywhere.
Padres fan got in the face of a couple Giants fans, slapped the fire out of one. He then pushed her. It was out in right field. And then probably the worst one happened on Sunday, I do believe. No, on Saturday. A couple of young kids-ish took on a couple of old heads, and the old heads prevailed. And I mean, it was right there in the middle of the concourse, guys.
These are the ones that we've seen on film.
These are just the ones that we've seen. This isn't what we want here. This isn't what Peter wants. This isn't what anybody wants. If you can't control yourself, then you shouldn't drink at a game. And that's these 3 incidents very clearly fueled by alcohol. We don't want this. You don't want our ballpark to turn into that. You just don't. You don't want it to turn into, I'm all about rivalries and I talk as much smack as the next person, on Twitter. But, if you're out at a game and you've had 17 Cutwaters, it's not the right recipe for a peaceful, fun atmosphere. So just please, don't turn it into Chavez latrine. You know what I'm saying? And you can't say a word about that fan base when this is the exact same thing that's happening here.
And I don't subscribe to the people who say, well, Padres are selling all this alcohol at the games. They get what they deserve. You should be able to sell beer and drinks at the ballpark, and fans should be able to enjoy those if they want during the game without turning into absolute morons in the stands. And if you can't, as Wood said, then don't drink.
But, I mean, are people getting overserved? Like, what's happening? Because it has been a pretty rough trend for a while.
I purposefully don't drink at games. Like, I drank some booze in the parking lot, but I cut it off when I walked into the stadium because, some guy says something that I don't like, and I say something he doesn't like, and the next thing you know, here we go. It's just not a fun atmosphere when that's kind of lingering around. So let's not turn it into a place that's not fun to go watch. Certainly. I mean,
it used to be like I'm staying home on a Friday night when the Dodgers are in town because, well, there's Beer Fest for hours before the game, and there's already a ton of fights between those two fan bases, and then now it's just Petco Park in general. It seems to be. It's not a good look, not a good trend.
Carlos said you guys were slamming shots beforehand. Maybe they did the same. I had 2 shots. 3 hours.
Is he talking about on our broadcast at 6:30 in the morning?
3 hours before the game. And, I mean, again, I cut it off as soon as I walked into the stadium.
By the way, some people, can have a few drinks, maybe even
fight
1 or 2 more than they should, and not also have to take punches at people.
Yeah, it's tough.
If you're the guy who, hey, if I have 4 beers in me, I'm ready to go and start fighting people, that's a problem too.
Yes.
If you're like, hey, everything's great in the world, and you get into an Uber at the end of the game, go ahead, enjoy yourself.
I'm more of a lover now
when
I drink than a fighter, certainly. So let's just mind our P's and Q's.
All right, finally, a little do this on a Monday.
DD mega doo-doo.
Congratulations to graduate transfer San Diego State Jacob Reardon, who tossed a no-hitter on Friday, came in the second game of a doubleheader against New Mexico. San Diego State completing the Mountain West sweep. Now, because it was the second game of a no-hitter, you can raise the old, it was only a 7-inning game, so.
Second game of a doubleheader?
Yeah, second game of the doubleheader. 7-inning no-hitter.
Take it.
But, hey, it's still a no-hitter. It's the 9th no-hitter in Aztecs history. They had one last year by T.J. Fontaine, and I'm assuming, it doesn't say here, but the other 7 were all by Steven Strasburg, if I remember correctly. No, he didn't have 7, but he had at least one, if not a couple, during his time at San Diego State. Paul, do you remember were you there when Steven Strasburg was there?
I was, but I think this was the year before I got there.
Was it? Yeah, I mean, he had an unbelievable college career.
He graduated in June. I started there the very next August, a couple months later.
So, congratulations to Jacob Reardon getting that no-no for SDSU on Friday night. And that's Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We'll get back to some Padres when we return. Talk about Friday's game. Are we at all worried now, 2 starts into the season, about one no Joe Musgrove? Not the best start for Joe, but some encouraging signs later in Friday's start as well. We'll talk about it when we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and I doing some serious coping in here, aren't we? Wouldn't you say that's a little bit of a coping scene?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
when you're talking about starters and the length that they can give you, we were just kind of trying to figure out how many innings did our starters actually give us over the weekend. That was the big bugaboo, replacing all of those innings lost by Lugo, who was fantastic, by the way. I watched him throw for Kansas City the other day. He looked spectacular. I've not seen Walker pitch yet. And then, of course, Blake Snell is still getting ramped up.
Walker lost his first game.
Did he?
Yeah, I believe so. Oh, no, Lugo lost his first game.
No, Lugo, he might have lost, but he went 6, I think, shutout innings. I don't know that he lost. I'm not sure. But I know he was carving him up because I was watching that game.
I know I had a prize picks on Lugo, and he did not strike out more batters than I was hoping he would strike out more, and he struck out less. By the way, this hour on Ben and Woods is brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Cash in on basketball's big moments with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Use code KWFN for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Now, I know we're not supposed to say the words, it's still early. But is it early to be worried about length of pitchers right now?
Not length of pitchers, more quality, I think, of what you're seeing. As you look through,
I'm talking strictly length, though. Like, he only went 4 1/3 inning. I mean, it's their first time through right now.
Yeah, but you're also going around the league and seeing a lot of other teams, 1s, 2s, and 3s, giving some really, really nice length early with dominant performances. So we really got neither from the 3 starters this weekend in Joe Musgrove on Friday, Dylan Cease on Saturday, Michael King yesterday. Interested to see what Matt Waldron does today, certainly, but he's doesn't feel like he's a guy that's going to go out and give you 7 either. Right. So Yu Darvish even was, what did he give you on opening day? Was he 5 2/3? Maybe 4 2/3 the game before that. So
Darvish on Thursday went.
Every team is going to
5 innings.
Yeah, every team is going to do things their way. They're going to use the bullpen when they feel they need to. They're going to limit pitch counts early in the season. But you have seen some pretty dominating performances early with 6, 7 innings thrown by starters. It's all player dependent. But I think we averaged right around 5 innings a start. If you throw Musgrove, who, by the way, got down early. And yes, there's something to be said for getting you through 5 2/3, especially when you started as poorly as you did.
I would be curious to know what the Dodgers starting pitchers went in their 4 games this weekend, because both the Dodgers and the Padres, they've had the weird spring. They had to ramp things up quicker than other teams in baseball. You talk about other teams, their starters went 6, 7 innings. Well, they didn't have this weird, got to fly to Korea for a week and play a couple of games early, got to get everybody on a different schedule, throwing schedule and all of that. I'm curious.
I don't think at this point length is a consideration.
Girth more important for you?
Well, I mean, everybody's on a pitch count, like 80 or 90 early. And I mean, I know that not necessarily every opponent is, but it seems like for the Padres, they're keeping guys under 90 or so in their first outing. You're not going to get much, even if you're efficient, you're not going to get much past 6. 5 is fine. You would have liked to have seen Michael King with a 12-run lead get more than 4 innings, but he just couldn't throw strikes. And that was certainly an issue that he's going to have to fix to have success. I want to talk about Joe specifically, though. The pros and the cons from his first 2 performances of the year. We'll get to that right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
97.3 The Fan Traffic Center. Here's Kelly Danick.
Got a 2-car collision now on the Fairmont Avenue on-ramp to westbound 8. It's over the right shoulder. And watch out for some debris in the fast lane on eastbound 8 right before Greenfield. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So to answer Paulie's question, Glasnow went 6, Bobby Miller went 6, Yamamoto went 5. Pretty nasty innings for him.
6, 6, 5, and 5.
6, 6, 5, and 5.
He also went 1 in his first start.
That's true. That's true. So he's averaging
3.
A robust 3. Correct.
It's got to be fair with all the stats.
It's a lot of money for 3 innings.
It's a lot of money, Paulie.
Yikes.
No, but and it's not just them. I mean, it's other teams. Letting their guys go out there and establish some get some length out of him, and that's just something that we need to be mindful of, keep an eye on. I know Mike Schilt and AJ Preller and all the guys in the Brain Trust, Ruben Niebla, they're watching that too, because it's going to be important. The bullpen already, let's be honest, the one area we weren't too concerned about doesn't look great so far. So it needs to even out. It will even out.
The Padres do have a bullpen problem.
They do.
But it's not, I don't think it's the problem that they don't have any good arms in their bullpen.
No.
They have a lot of good arms in their bullpen.
Is it where they're employed?
No, I think the problem
deployed,
is right now they're getting like 2 really good outings and 1 horrific outing.
Yeah.
And that's tough. It's like having a bunch of landmines in your bullpen. And if you're Mike Schilt, you can go to Tom Cosgrove, and he can be fantastic. He can be absolutely unhittable with that, and then he goes and gives up 6 in an inning. Or you can go to Pedro Avila, and he can give you exactly what you need from him. 3 innings, in long relief, hold on to a big lead and win. Or he can go out and look terrible. It's almost better if you just have like 2 guys who absolutely stink at the end of your bullpen. Send them down, bring up someone else. But right now, like, which pitcher would you say, well, we can't bring him into the game? Brito had a couple bad ones, and they had a good one. I mean, right now it's just the unpredictability of the Padres bullpen that is making life difficult. Robert Suarez, he can't be hit. Then he gives up a home run. They all look good at times, good enough that you're going to keep going to them, but then they all have their struggles. And I know every relief pitcher is going to give up runs. They're not going to be perfect, but right now it just feels like a bit of a minefield that Mike Schilt is tiptoeing through whenever he's using his own bullpen.
I said it early last year. Bob Melvin would go to the bullpen, and it was like, what gas can am I going to tonight? Is it going to be the Garcia gas can?
But you knew Garcia was going to be a gas can when he went to
Well,
him.
then let's go to Honeywell. Oh, he's a gas.
But again, there's no one that you can tell me right now, don't go to that guy. No, whatever you do, don't go to that guy in the Padres bullpen. I don't trust him. Or you can say that about all of them right now.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say about
the
most.
only guy that I really trust at this moment
would be like, who's the one guy?
Is probably Yuki Matsui.
Matsui.
It's the one guy that I trust the most right now. But everybody else has shown the ability to both get a lot of outs and also give up some runs.
Wandy looked.
All right, Wandy looked pretty good.
So those two.
That was in a very low leverage situation yesterday, and I think that was just his second outing. But I did want to talk about Joe in particular. And the first start in Korea was staked to a big lead, was only able to go 2 2/3 innings. Lot of mitigating circumstances. First of all, it's Korea, Dodgers lineup, weird game, and he only made it through 2 2/3. Expecting more when he came back against the Giants in his first home start, and he gave up the 3 runs in the first inning on Friday. Definitely looked off. But battled back and ended up pitching 5 2/3 innings, only gave up 1 more run after that, and looked like he got locked in to a better spot by the time. Now, by the time he left, with no offense on Friday night, Padres were already in a bad situation, and you can't really put your team in that sort of hole and expect to win the game. But do you feel like Joe's going to be absolutely fine, no worries about it, or are there from spring training, didn't have the sharpest stuff, and now through 2 starts, 6.35 ERA, not looking completely Joe Musgrove-like early in the season?
Look, man, 91 down the middle isn't going to get big leaguers out, and he knows that too, and he just was not spotting up at all, and everything was middle, and they were hammering him pretty good. Even the outs were fairly loud on Friday night. It just was not a good start, and conversely, across the diamond, Kyle Harrison was fantastic. He really was. He was fantastic and really fooling the guy. So I don't know, man. I thought, Joe did settle in, was able to give you 5 2/3, which after the start he had, I'm like, oh my God, this is a 2-inning night, and it's Pedro Avila time, and we're just going to wear this one. And I think, I think you're going to see some of that this year. We've seen Mike Schilt manage really aggressively. We saw him. He's not. I don't feel like he's going to leave guys out there to die. You know what I mean? Like our old skipper has done and did over the weekend. When his team was basically out of it, right? He's like, enjoy your debut. You're going to wear it. Like,
it does feel like. Melvin did that yesterday.
He did it yesterday.
But it does feel like Schilt won't do that unless the game's already kind of been decided.
Right.
If you're down 10-1. even if the guy's out there struggling, it's like, hey man, you just got to wait.
You got to
one.
take one for the team.
We need 3 more innings.
Yeah, like yesterday, Jeffries was out there, and it was his second inning, and they came out right before the Ha-Sung Kim at bat and meeting on the mound, and the trainers were out there like, are you going to take him out or not here? And they left him in, and of course, next pitch is a 3-run homer. Guess Bob should have taken him out at that point because it's game, set, and match then. A little late on the trigger, but Mike Schilt definitely seems a little more aggressive in terms of his managing.
Yeah, and he went to kind of the depths of the bullpen on Friday night with Kolek and De Los Santos, and but yeah, it was a pretty frustrating game to watch. Baseball's so weird too because you saw Eggy, rip that ball, nobody on, nobody out, and rips that ball in the gap, and you get thrown out at third base. It just every time we got something going, we stepped on our own junk, to get that going. You don't know how a game's going to turn out ever, but
usually when you get 3 home runs from Manny and Tatis, that's an easy win
good.
Most games. It's not an 8-3 loss, so you
feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, what if I told you?
Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to hit 2 home runs. Manny was going to have one.
Now, should we look at this the other way? Padres played a dangerous Dodgers lineup that went on and took 3 of 4 from the Cardinals, rallied yesterday with home runs from Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy in the 8th inning. And they've taken on a Giants team that invested a ton in their lineup in Chapman and Conforto and Jung-Ho Lee.
Soler.
And the first 3 I mentioned, all getting off to hot starts already this year, that they have faced 2 very potent and dangerous offenses to start the season.
Well, they've
and
given up a buttload of runs, too.
Well, you can understand that maybe, you're not going to face many tougher challenges than what you had in these first 6 games of the season. So if the ERA looks a little high and the bullpen looks a little shaky and the starters don't look great, let's remember who they had to face in the first 6 games of the year. Now, maybe the Giants will go back and do nothing offensively, and they'll go, boy, you really gave up a lot of runs to that Giants team that didn't hit. But so far, so good for that Giants offense. They've come out, and fairly been, impressive with the moves that they've made in the offseason.
Yeah, and back to your original question, am I concerned about Joe Musgrove? Yes. I absolutely am.
You're concerned about everyone all the time, though.
It's true. My answer is yes, absolutely. By the way, do you know who has scored the most runs at Major League Baseball this year?
Oh, a little run differential talk.
Do you know
here?
who has given up the most runs
Padres
in baseball this year?
But they've also played more games than almost every other team. 2 more games than almost every other team.
What was the final score?
15-11. Yeah, Padres are averaging 7.5 runs per game.
Crushing it.
Technically, if you did that all season long, you would have the greatest offense in the history of baseball. Now, does it look like the Padres have the greatest offense in the history of baseball through 6 games? Because they're on pace for exactly that. I don't think so. I think there are still some concerns about the Padres offense, despite technically being the greatest offense in the history of baseball so far this year.
What's our run differential right now?
+4.
+4.
Which, if you'd like to extrapolate it out.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
If they every 6 games are +4, they'd end up better run differential than last season with a worse record.
Amazing.
They'd end up 81-81 with like a +125 run differential.
Yeah, you know what's so funny too is
jump out of this window safely.
When you're talking about narratives that morons like us bring up, and really the skipper the other night bringing up the narrative, I love the fight late and all that. So now every day is a different thing that we can look at and check off. How are they going to react today after drubbing the crap out of a team 12-4?
Because they did that a lot last year.
They did it a ton last year, which raised our run differential tremendously.
And then they'd lose 2-1.
2-1, 3-0
the next day.
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
Do not.
Don't do this.
Well, tonight's game will tell me everything I need to know about the 2024 season.
Kyle Gibson.
It won't. No.
If we lose 1-0, I will say, you know what? It's the same old Padres.
It absolutely will
so
not.
So Kyle Gibson, decent veteran, but not overpowering. Had like a 4.6 ERA last year. But
right-hander.
Win a bunch of games. You should be able to put some offense together. You should not be shut down by Kyle Gibson in the game tonight against the Cardinals. Now, Matt Waldron, don't know what they're going to get from him. Hopefully
Spring was fantastic.
He was
man.
good this spring. Hopefully he carries that over and gives the Padres a solid fifth starter performance today, which, and, given, being a knuckleballer, keep the Cardinals off balance, get into the sixth inning, that sort of thing is all I'm hoping for from Matt Waldron today.
Okay.
All right, that music means
we need offense, though. The offense got to show up today after a drubbing yesterday.
Halfway through Ben and Woods. Got a whole mess of other games from Major League Baseball to talk about. Some basketball as well from the NCAA tournament. Coming up, Sammy as well in hour number 3. Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Monday. It is April 1st, the old dreaded April Fool's Day. Here on Ben and Woods, I'm probably your resident fool, Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He is
Probably the resident prankster.
Are you the resident prankster? Yeah,
I was.
I'd say so. I'd say so. And no, not a fool or a prankster, Ben Higgins.
But I'm very gullible.
Very gullible.
Which makes April Fool's Day a nightmare for me.
Still, at 48 years old.
Yeah, I just do tend to be trusting and believing, so it's not in my nature to be skeptical of everything. And today you kind of have to be skeptical of everything, so I've never liked April Fool's Day.
I really haven't either. I don't really like having pranks done on me, and I'm kind of overdoing pranks now. My kid, Bo, is so into it. He was conjuring up pranks all night last night that he's going to do today. So watch out, because that little weasel is coming after you today somehow. He's going to try to get me. Definitely going to try to get his mom. Definitely going to try to get his brother. But yeah, not my favorite. Not my favorite day. And we're not allowed to do anything on the radio. Plus, I don't think we prank you enough when it's not April Fool's.
That's good. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
April Fool's it's kind of obvious. Like we'll try to get you with a liner.
Yeah, if there was
or
like a
something.
fake liner in here, I think I'd be a little more aware today than I would be another day.
Like Seymour Wiener was the guy at the Met game the other night. That was a real thing.
The veteran that they honored before the game.
They did.
That was real.
That was real. And they did it over the loudspeaker. There's old Seymour Wiener just chilling there before the game.
Seymour
Wiener. Incredible.
It's not Weiner.
No, it's Wiener.
Okay, just checking.
And now, please stand to honor our veteran in the crowd, Seymour Wiener. I was dead. And they had the graphic, and it's just him, like, he's like 100 years old. No idea where he is. It's like, come on, bro. That's the best you can do? Just doing bits? That was at the Met game. Mets did not have a good start to their season. Our beloved Italian Paul is a Met fan, and I saw him going through it on Twitter. Some spiciness in baseball this year with the Rhys Hoskins, Jeff McNeil scene that happened, I believe, on Friday, and then they threw at Hoskins on Saturday.
I did not have any problem with Rhys's slide.
Didn't either.
Straight into the bag. Yeah, he went all the way through, but I mean, when I grew up, that was baseball. You're trying to take out the second baseman. Not necessarily hurt him, but make sure he doesn't complete the double play.
You can't even take out a second baseman anymore. And McNeil...
But that wasn't illegal either.
No, it's not illegal.
You can't go outside the baselines. You got to go straight in, but he went straight into the bag.
Hard, straight into the bag. Now, McNeil's got to get off that plant foot, right? And he was going to turn the double play. And what I think happened is... He missed it on the transfer and then got mad because his cleats came up and did get him, and he fell over. But they also showed McNeil going 6 feet out of the base pad last year and just barreling a guy. And it's like, all right, man, you got to – if you're going to get mad about that one, you can't also do the same thing. But that got spicy. They did they threw behind him, and that pitcher is going to be suspended. Did you see Genesis Cabrera? For the Blue Jays. There was a bunt given up. Guy came around on the overthrow and rounded the bag and kind of bumped into Genesis Cabrera, and you could see him be like, oh, my bad. And Cabrera kind of bowed up. Next thing you know, Cabrera grabs him by the face and like shoves him backwards. I'm like, wow.
And
what
he got suspended, correct?
3 games, yeah. So it was a little spicy for which, I like the little chippy. I like chippy baseball. So that was kind of fun to see.
You had the Diamondbacks take 3 of 4 from the Rockies to start their season.
They look good, man.
Yeah, I mean, Rockies did get one of the 4.
Tied for the league lead in run differential.
They are. Yeah, they're not giving up a ton of runs.
But is it because they're playing the Rockies?
Yeah.
Or is it real? Same thing with the Tigers. They played the White Sox.
They're undefeated. Yeah.
Pirates took 4 straight from the Marlins. Tough start for Skip Schumacher.
I'm so sorry if you're listening.
And those are of the 4 undefeated teams. We've got the Tigers, the Brewers, who swept the Mets, as you said, the Pirates, and now the Yankees, who took maybe the most impressive start to the season, going into Houston, taking all 4 from the Astros, and in every single game, Juan Soto was the hero. Some way or another.
Impact player Juan Soto, batting like .570, slugging.
Defensively, offensively, had his first home run.
Him.
Had the go-ahead RBI single in the 9th inning against Josh Hader.
Correct.
In yesterday's game,
Super
as the
cool.
Yankees completed the 4-game sweep with a 4-3 win over the Houston Astros. So really good start to the season for Juan Soto with his new team. But I don't have any ill will toward Juan Soto at all. And
It's the most common sentiment I saw was, why didn't you do that when you first got here? I mean, he got off to a
Don't we say that about so many players?
95% of them.
So maybe it's not the players thing.
Maybe it's us.
Maybe it's a something. I don't
Maybe
know what
it's
it is.
what are we doing wrong?
I don't know.
I don't know, but
I
for
don't
whatever
know.
reason,
Hoping
players
too
come here
much?
and forget how to hit. They go
What
somewhere
are we
else.
doing wrong?
Yeah,
They're good.
I don't know.
Like good hitters forget how to hit when they come here, and then they go off and continue to hit good.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
tough.
what it is.
It's a tough
The
look.
Astros still their own ballpark is now in their heads. Remember how they kept losing at home?
Yeah.
And now they are doing it.
Yeah,
Now they're
right.
doing it again to start their season, and there's rumblings like they don't like the batter's eye at Minute Maid
no.
Park.
It's starting to spiral.
It's already kind of getting in their heads. You got to be a little concerned if you're an Astros fan at this point. Maybe the big series, Phillies-Braves, giant NL East showdown to start the season. Phillies take 2 of 3. Matt Strahm got the win in relief yesterday, 5-4 as the Phillies took that series. Angels already had a team meeting after 2 games
They
of
did.
the season.
It's
That's
been a rough start.
never a good sign,
Yeah.
but it did result in a win yesterday over the Orioles 4-1 to avoid a sweep. So, sometimes those meetings do work. I think Ron Washington just wanted to say,
He said, don't let it
guys,
spiral.
relax. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's 2 games. Don't get too worried. I know they were ugly, but they're probably pretty happy just getting one against the Baltimore Orioles in that series as well.
The first headline on MLB.com, the very first headline is, Soto, the alpha dog, again, as Yankees stay perfect. And I'm sitting here going, is that the problem? Like, we just never let him be the alpha dog here? Because there's a lot of alpha dogs here. I just don't know that
Aaron Judge isn't an alpha dog.
I guess not.
I mean,
apparently he's had a rough start to the season, but Soto is. I mean, look, it's a walk year for him. It's massive, and yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to do, man. Certainly saw some really, really questionable umpiring over the weekend as well. And I mean, like ball like this, balls down the middle, shoot, ball. Max Fried got just completely robbed the other day. I mean, ball down the middle would have gotten him out of an inning. Of course, doesn't get him out of the inning. Some pretty egregious umpiring. I guess it's it's early for them too, Ben, I guess you could say. What did you think about Mike Winters joining the broadcast crew?
So I got the sense that yesterday was a bit of a
It was like
internship day.
Yeah.
Why don't you sit here and just observe how it's done? But it sounds like the Padres and Padres TV with Mud and Don do intend to have him be the the official in the booth, kind of like they do in the NFL,
Yes.
where they have what's his name, the former official who's
it's
Gene
Steratore,
Steratore,
yeah.
and they have him in the booth to explain close calls and controversial decisions,
So
which
he's-
I think is great. He's a local San Diegan,
So,
retired.
I would like to
umpire.
interview him.
I would love to have him on.
I would love to interview an umpire.
I would assume that could probably be made possible sometime soon. Maybe they want to debut him first on a broadcast officially, but they were mostly just kind of poking fun at Mud and maybe Mike Winters' ability to throw him out of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to me.
But there's enough like infield fly rule. There's enough, interesting rulings in baseball that it probably does warrant having someone who's an expert and can give an umpire's perspective on what's going on. Hey, what are they looking at here on this replay? What's the, what does the league tell you in terms of a ruling on this play, like on the infield fly? What are you supposed to call?
What's your
on
problem?
A situation?
What's your problem?
Why did he get? Why is Angel Hernandez so bad? At his
No.
job?
What's your
problem?
The collective what
just
is
your problem? What's your problem?
Yeah, what's the problem?
But I like the idea of having not a third man in the booth, but you may have an entire game where you don't even go.
You don't use him.
It's just not relevant. But you may have a game where 3 times you need to go and get an explanation as to what's going on in the field. Because honestly, one of the things that baseball doesn't do well, the other sports do better now.
Yeah, they don't
is
explain it.
explaining the rulings. They simply, so they're just safe and like, okay, but why? And now you've got an umpire who can at least perhaps give some perspective as to why that decision was made. In the NBA, they have to get on like the microphone at the scorer's table and announce it to the crowd and television that here's what was happening on that replay. We were reviewing it, and it turns out it was a common foul, and it's going to be 2 shots for the other team. In the NFL, they do a little bit better job of explaining it, depending on which referee is kind of going through it. If it's Ed Hockley, he used to talk a lot. Others don't say quite as much. But the baseball umpires don't have a mic. They don't say anything at all. So now you've got someone potentially with a microphone who can give you some perspective on the rulings during a game.
Well, and back to the umpiring, the balls and strikes and stuff like that. Look, I'm not talking about the ones on the black. Those are tough, and it's a really hard job, and it gets harder every year. I've belabored this point for years. Why wouldn't you want a system that takes the worst part of your job, the worst, like the toughest part of the gig, and makes it easier for you? You can't let your ego stand in the way of that. And the way that they're doing it in the minors, Ben, you've seen it. So ball comes, Max Fried throws it, it goes down the middle. Clearly a strike. Catcher thinks it's a strike. Pitcher thinks it's a strike. Nick Castellanos was on his way back to the dugout. He thought it was strike 3. Calls the ball. All the catcher does is tap the top of his head. Boom. That's it. Challenge. Okay, we're going to look at it. Actually, strike 3, Nick. Grab some wood. Grab some pine there, buddy. So that's really the best way to do it. If they're working it out in the minor leagues, I would love to see that one make its way to the big leagues.
I thought, and it wasn't really brought up on the broadcast when I saw it yesterday, but the home plate umpire, Edwin Moscoso, in the Padres game, had a pretty small strike zone. I mean, it helped the Padres on a couple of calls early as they were putting up their 12 runs, but it also hurt Michael King a little bit with his 7 walks. I mean, he was not giving a lot of those edges on the side of the plate. It was a tight strike zone, which led to, I think it benefited the Padres as much as it hurt Michael King. They won the game 13-4, so no big complaints. He just happened to have a tight strike zone, and I think that was part of the reason why King struggled a little bit and, kept falling behind on balls that looked like they were pretty good and just wasn't getting the calls, but neither were the Giants pitchers, so it was fair.
I feel like we got some, too. I feel like he definitely got some below the zone as well. So, yeah, it's just, look, a tight zone, it's a zone. It's the zone. Like, just the zone is the zone, and I understand what you're saying. But he was giving balls up, giving balls away, giving balls down. It's tough. Tough sledding out there. Take the toughest part of your gig, get some help on it, make it a little easier on yourself. What a load off that would be if you had to work the dish and you knew, hey, if I get this wrong, we've got the eye in the sky and they can fix it. Now, you don't want to slow these games down to a creeping halt, but, employ some challenges and things like that.
And at some point,
it takes 15 seconds.
At some point, they added instant replay to the NFL, and the referees, it's not like they just started calling everything terribly,
right?
Just because, we got the backup cameras just in case. Like, they still did their job.
Yeah, they still do their job. The umpires still are going to call balls and strikes, but when you miss an egregious one down the middle, I saw another one. Nick Pivetta had one.
That's one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
It was terrible. I mean, it's right down the middle. We're not talking. Oh man, he just nicked the black on that one, buddy. Sorry, this is like huge moment in the game changing moment. 38 pitches he's at right now. He needs to get out of that inning. He throws the pitch to get him out of the inning. No.
You think about egregious plays at like first base or something, like bang bang play or whatever. Like, even those weren't as bad. This was right down the middle.
Right down the chute, man. They get fooled too, and it's okay. It's okay to get fooled, but have some backup.
All right, when we come back, we're going to give away some Padres Cardinals tickets for tomorrow night's game. Give you a chance to make some plans to join us for the 97.3 The Fan City Connect Poncho giveaway night. I've got a Padres trivia question for you.
Oh, the old trivia.
The old trivia question for a chance to win tickets for tomorrow's game. And the Final Four is set. We haven't really talked about the NCAA tournament, the weekend games. Get into some of those as well. After a check of traffic, more Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. How's your bracket look? How does Megan's bracket look, Paulie?
Not as
was
good
really
before
good.
the Tennessee.
I saw her
loss
tweeting
yesterday.
about the Vols. Go Vols. But
She had them winning the whole thing.
Yeah,
and going into that game, she was number one in our
in a large
pool
bracket.
of like almost 200 brackets.
Very large bracket. But it seems like if you don't have UConn, you're probably in trouble. We are down to the Final Four. Started at 68. 4 teams remain. Had our Elite Eight games over the weekend. UConn, no trouble with Illinois. Well, they were only up 5 at the half. And then they went on a 30-0 run, which, college basketball is pretty much ball game when you go on a 30
I've never seen that
run.
before. It was 23-23 at one point. And the next time Illinois scored, the score was 53-25.
The Aztecs got a bit of grief for not being able to, keep it a little closer with UConn. I didn't hear quite as much about Illinois not really belonging in the Elite Eight at the second weekend of the tournament, but I think UConn's just that good. They won 77-52. Alabama took out Clemson 89-82 to reach their first ever Final Four. Football school is now basketball school as well as they get to the Final Four for the first time. UConn and Alabama will play in one national semifinal on Saturday. And then yesterday you had NC State with a 76-64 win over Duke. What a run.
That's incredible, man.
For the Wolfpack. Now,
last one.
DJ Porter, their big guy?
No, not
What's
Porter.
his
The big guy. What is it? Adams? I want to say.
Can't just make up names.
He's the big hoss out there.
Big old dude, yeah.
And,
I saw him leading the team out. It was
yeah,
great.
he's DJ Burns. DJ Burns Jr.
God, he was fun to watch.
He is a lot of fun.
He
Everyone
is not your
loving him.
stereotypical basketball player. He
They
just
also have a
looks
DJ
different.
Horn on their team who scored 20, but DJ Burns had 29 points to lead NC State. Now, I think you know that they...
He looks like guys I see at rec leagues.
He looks like a rec league
He does.
player.
They got into the tournament by winning the ACC tournament, but what a lot of people don't realize is they were not going to get in if they didn't win the ACC tournament.
Right.
They were going to the NIT or their season was over. And they got to the semifinals, and when they played Virginia, they were down like 6 late, and Virginia had free throws. They had free throws to ice the game.
Yeah.
They missed 5 out of 6, including with 5 seconds left. Virginia was up 1 and at the free throw line. And if they made that last free throw, NC State's season is over, but they missed it. NC State had 3, forced overtime, won the game, won the next day, got into the tournament, and now have won 4 straight to get to the Final Four. They were a free throw by someone else that they could not control from their season having been over 3 weeks ago. And now here they are in the Final Four. It's got to be one of the most unlikely runs ever. Now, not totally a Cinderella because they're not a small school that won a national championship, but it's their first Final Four since the great Jim Valvano running like a crazy man around the court in 1983, one of the best moments in college basketball. And NC State is back. But what a day, because the NC State women also advanced to the Final Four yesterday. They had 2 teams advancing to the Final Four on the very same day. So Raleigh, North Carolina is the center of college basketball right now. And, of course, as Paulie said, really great game. Purdue, Tennessee, Zach Edey with 40, Dalton Connect with 37 for the Vols. Ultimately, though, the Boilermakers get their revenge, get their redemption after going out as a 1 seed against a 16 last year and make it to the Final Four for the 3rd time in school history with a 72-66 win.
Zach Edey is 7'4", and he knows how to play the game. I mean, you see some tall guys that don't really know what they're doing out there. It seems like they're just there because, they're 7 feet tall. He is a beast, and I don't know how anybody can stop him at that college level. And I really think it's looking like a Purdue-UConn championship.
Which would be fantastic.
Which would be amazing.
To have Edey, the player of the year, going up against the team that everyone's talking about in UConn. But first, they got to get by NC State, and they certainly seem like they're a team of destiny. I was watching the Purdue-Tennessee game with my son, who watches more NBA basketball, and he asked me, is Zach Edey going to be like a star on the next level in the NBA? And I couldn't 100% say for sure. I said he's definitely going to be a a solid player, a pro. He's a good rebounder. Will he have, against the bigger guys in the NBA when there's other 7-footers, will he be able to dominate the way he does in college? No.
Is he going to be Giannis?
I don't think so. I don't think he's even going to be Wemby, but I do think he's going to have a role. I don't think he's going to be like a perennial all-star in the NBA. But if you've got a good team with like good guards, he'll be a nice addition to have underneath.
I mean, but like both the Lopez brothers had good careers. They were never.
Yeah, and I
superstars in
see
college,
that for
but-
Zach Edey. He's very spicy. He was like, I can't tell you how many coaches came and recruited and looked at me and went, no, he's not for our program. And Purdue said, no, we want him. And they took him, and he has developed and turned into a player of the year, maybe a 2-time player of the year. But yeah, it'll be a Purdue against NC State, UConn, Alabama on the other side.
I'm looking at the UConn-Alabama game. Now, UConn has not lost, or they haven't won a game by less than 15 points this entire tournament.
And it feels like they're even getting better as they're going on.
Right, they're so hot right now.
30 over the Aztecs, 25 over NC State, and that was only because they pulled over Illinois, and that was only because they pulled the starters pretty early.
I took them at 8.5-point favorites, and I'm like, that's the easiest money I think I've ever won.
Yeah.
And then they go on that 30-0 run. And I'm looking at the line for Alabama, UConn on, was it Saturday?
You guess.
10.
No, more.
More than 10.
11.5.
11.5, okay.
And I'm still like, that seems like
a no-brainer.
Easy. Like,
It's too big. It's two big lines for.
I mean, at this point,
the last four
Purdue's
days.
at this point, you're taking on a team that's won at least 4 consecutive NCAA tournament games. I mean, everyone you're playing is red hot right now.
Is Purdue blowing teams out as well?
No, I mean they didn't blow out Tennessee. That was a game all the way to the end.
NC State's not getting the. I mean, it's 9.5.
That's 1 seed versus 11 seed.
I like
there.
NC State to keep that one close. No one's giving NC State the credit because they're an 11 seed and because they had a pretty bad regular season. They're playing fantastic right now.
Yeah, but 5 days between games, 6 games between.
Remember, they lost.
6 days.
They lost to Duke in the regular season this month at the start of the month by like 10.
Yeah,
and now they're beating them by 12. This is just a different team. You can't evaluate NC State. Whatever they were in the regular season, they're a whole different team right now, and they're just so hot. I don't know that they'll win, but I like them. I like them to give Purdue a game in that national semifinal. Maybe the Edey's too much for them and has the answer, but I think that one's close. I don't think Alabama can keep up with UConn either.
I may watch. I may not.
We'll
Friday,
Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday national semifinals.
I may watch.
And then we mentioned it earlier, but the women's final 2 Elite 8 games are tonight, and could be the most watched women's college basketball games in the history of television. At 4 o'clock, it's LSU against Iowa.
Maybe just women's basketball.
Maybe women's basketball, yeah. Angel Reese against Caitlin Clark. You've got the whole
Iowa -2.
The LSU coach. So the story came out about her.
Was that the final
Mulkey.
story?
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad at all. It was a very balanced story. She was mad that they talked to her estranged family members.
I didn't want to give Washington Post my email.
She's spicy. She's she's controversial. Some players don't like her. There's some homophobia potentially in there, but it was very balanced. It also said she's an incredible coach. Some people absolutely love her. She's won wherever she's been. It was hardly a hit piece on Kim Mulkey. It was a very balanced, journalistically responsible story that the Washington Post did, that she came out last week hiring lawyers threatening to sue about what was a very reasonable story. Now, there was also a column in the LA Times that everyone criticized that portrayed like UCLA as angels and LSU's players as like, I think they called them dirty debutantes in the story, and everyone said that's ridiculous.
That guy was getting dragged.
Yeah, he got completely dragged for that column, and she had moved on to that story as being the latest outrage when she was up in the media. But that will be a huge game, and then the second game, which is UConn, the college basketball. For many years, the powerhouse with their great star Paige Beckers against Juju Watkins and USC. She's also an unbelievable player that led the Trojans, trying to lead them to the Final Four.
Is that game tonight as well?
That's at 6 o'clock tonight. So you got the doubleheader. Obviously, we'll be probably watching some Padres, but you got 2 really great women's basketball games tonight if you're a college basketball fan. All right, as promised, we got some Padres Cardinals tickets to give away for tomorrow night's 97.3 The Fan City Connect Poncho giveaway night, and I got a trivia question for you. So call in now, 833-288-0973. Paulie will take some callers at random. First one with the correct answer to this will win the tickets. Which Padre currently leads the team in both hits and runs batted in? Tied in both categories, but only one person is tops in both. Who is it? 833-288-0973. Call now for your chance to win Padres Cardinals tickets, and you can get your own. Go to padres.com/tickets for your chance to see, and all the giveaways all season long. Coming up next, we'll let you know who won on 97.3 The Fan. Got in-season Sammy Levit coming up here after traffic. I don't know whether he's going to be filling in for you or not on this week's roundtable when you're getting your stitches out.
Yes.
On Thursday. But you can tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. for the 97.3 The Fans commercial-free Padres Roundtable featuring Ben and sometimes Woods, Annie and Elston, and Gwen and Chris, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable, the last honest pizza. I mean,
why was I the only one that got the sometimes?
Well, you're not going to be there this week.
Yeah, but I was there the first one.
That's true. Gwen has also been a sometimes. Well, he's been a never so far.
And Elo's been a never.
That's true, because they were traveling.
Right.
Annie and Elston were both there last time.
Correct.
I was there last time.
Correct.
So you can count on us. Sammy was in last time.
Sammy was
I don't
in.
know whether he's been asked or not this time. We'll get to
I'm sure he will.
Sammy, first I want to announce the winner of our Padres ticket giveaway. And the correct answer to the trivia question, Carlos knew it. Which Padres player leads the team in both hits and runs batted in? And the answer is Jake Cronenworth, who is tied with 9 hits with Luis Campusano and tied with 7 runs batted in with Manny Machado, but he's the only one with both the most hits and runs batted in. Really fantastic start to the season for Jake, who is just scorching the ball. I mean, he's hitting it on a line, going both ways. I mean, he looks like everything he didn't look like last season so far.
It's just locked in. It's just that like, I don't know. Maybe Sammy's talked to him. I want to hear what Sammy has to say about some of the guys he's talked to after these first few games.
All right, we'll get to that right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Well, our Cordell and Cordell traffic cams are picking up an accident on northbound 5 right at the eastbound 905 connector ramp. Other than that, though, things have been looking pretty good on our roads. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-thru oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, hopefully, if you were one of the 125,000 fans that made it to the opening series to the Padres and the Giants, you made your way to the loft in the Western Metal Supply Company building and said hello to Sam Levit. He's going to be joining us Mondays throughout the baseball season. In-season Sammy with us here on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Sammy, good morning to you. How was your weekend?
Good morning. My weekend was great. Great being back at the ballpark, seeing so many fans and having so many great conversations with people there. So really nice weekend. Good couple of wins for the Padres. And thankfully we got the games in, right? I mean, it looked for a while last week like there was no shot we were going to get the games in Saturday and Sunday. But great job by the grounds crew, and the weather held off, and we got them both in on Saturday and Sunday without any issues. So good weekend all the way around.
Now, see, Sammy, I was listening to your pregame the other day, and Jesse Agler commended you for not leading with the weather question. And you said, I'm learning. You brought up the weather towards the end of your interview with Jesse Agler, and today on Ben and Woods, you led off with the weather update, which is interesting to me.
You know, why did Jesse not want to hear the weather question right away?
I don't know. Maybe, is that a thing?
Low-hanging fruit?
Is it low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, it's a little low hanging fruit. Look, we typically, when I talk to Jesse and Tony pregame during the very start of my pregame show, typically if there's a weather situation that we know about, it is something I will address with them. I do tend to do that at the very start of our conversation. But to Jesse's point, I did hold off and get to the baseball first and then get to the weather.
And he liked that.
With you guys, I'm right into the weather.
Well, I don't know if I'm listening to a pregame show, the most important thing to me, if I'm on my way to the game, is are they going to be playing the game and is it going to be on time? So I think you need to address that.
I'm going to ask Agler about this tomorrow when he joins us, if that's like a thing that he learned in University of Miami.
We should do a weather-related incorporator for him.
Yes, absolutely. First incorporator of the season tomorrow. Sammy, I was. We kicked off the show this morning. I was saying, hey, listen, I'm not mad at the bookend wins. You know, the win on Thursday night, so you get a happy show on Friday, and then the win on Sunday, you get a happy show on Monday, and those two games in between were, they are what they are.
Who even knows if they were played?
It's all about us and how we're feeling, and but it was nice to get that dub yesterday. Who all did you have a chance to catch up with over the weekend? I'm curious.
Yeah, I talked to Graham Pauley quite a bit. Obviously we heard from Jackson Merrill a couple of times, and Fernando and Manny. And look, I'll focus on the young guys first. I thought Graham Pauley obviously had the really nice moment on Saturday, and Jackson Merrill had a couple of nice moments in yesterday's game. And I think to this point with Merrill in particular, he's done a nice job. He's collected some hits. He's played very good defense, very solid out there in center field, which is great. And he's done about what I think you would want him to do so far, in the sense of holding his own at the plate, playing good defense, and contributing towards the bottom of the lineup. And I think what continues to be really interesting when you hear guys like Paulie and Merrill talk, and even Xander Bogaerts yesterday inside the clubhouse, is the really close relationship that some of these young guys have, and the way they want to contribute to this team, the way they view their roles on this team, and inside a clubhouse that has a lot of veteran guys and stars. But also, when you hear Xander talk about it, you get a real sense of how important those guys can be. And the idea that I think that clubhouse understands that those guys need to contribute, and they need to be a part of what this team does. And that really most good teams, they have young guys come up and contribute. And right now, for example, yesterday, the bottom of your lineup was made up of younger guys, whether it's Campusano even, obviously Merrill and Paulie. And Campusano, my goodness, has been terrific so far this year. So talking to some of the young guys, getting a sense for how they've been able to adjust over the last handful of days and get their feet wet, I think they've done a pretty good job so far. And I think there's an understanding from the veteran players that they need to be a part of this, and they need contributions from those young guys really throughout the year, and certainly in the beginning of the season as well. It's got to be a group effort, a team effort, as cliche as that sounds. And I think the good news, and we can talk more about it, is I think you have seen, especially offensively, some pretty good early indicators and signs that this offense is different than it was a year ago, which is good to see, despite not sitting at 5-1 or 4-2. You're sitting at 3-3, but I do think the early signs have been pretty good.
It's difficult to evaluate. Woods and I were talking about it earlier. They're averaging 7.5 runs per game, which is insane. Yeah. There's no way they're going to keep that up. But there also are still concerns about the offense and whether they could still use a Tommy Pham, who's tweeting over the weekend. Crazy. Just kind of still looking for a job. Brandon Belt is still out there, and I know Padres fans are still, looking and seeing maybe someone out there is still available. Was there any rumblings at the ballpark this weekend about potential additions to the lineup still, Sammy?
I didn't hear anything personally out of the ordinary. Aside of my post-game show, I think Saturday night, it turned into like a should the Padres sign Tommy Pham debate with like 4 phone calls for about 10 minutes. But aside from that, I didn't hear a whole lot about it. I mean, look, I think obviously if the Padres were to go get another bat, and let's use Tommy Pham as an example, obviously it provides another veteran piece, another veteran bat, and it would lengthen this lineup. I think the good news early on, if we want to get out of the who could they add conversation, is the impact that Jake Cronenworth and Luis Campusano could make on lengthening this lineup and making that top 6 and 7 that much deeper and that much better. I mean, what a great start for Jake Cronenworth, right? I mean, a 5-game hitting streak right now. He's 9 for 20 with 4 extra base hits and 7 RBIs in his last 5 games. Luis Campusano, 9 for 19 with a home run in his last 4 games. And I continue to be super impressed with not just the power for Luis. We know he has power, but the approach. I mean, even yesterday, the home run, he hits it to the shortest part of the park. But you know what? That's what you got to do sometimes. And he continues to do something that we saw last year, and that's shorten up in situations. His approach is really, really impressive, and he doesn't strike out a lot at all. In fact, before yesterday, he struck out in his 3rd plate appearance. He had not recorded a strikeout in 47 consecutive plate appearances going back to last year, which I don't know that people necessarily realized. So, having those 2 guys perform at these kinds of levels, I think lengthens the lineup a lot. Look, obviously an addition would do that as well. I did not hear anything in particular about that. Is it out of the question? Absolutely not. But for now, you got who you got, and if Campusano and Cronenworth can keep doing what they've been doing, if Bogaerts can keep doing what he's been doing, Ha-Seong Kim certainly now coming around, and you get what you think you're going to get from Manny and Fernando, all of a sudden you've got a top 6-7 that's pretty deep, and then you hope you can get enough out of those final couple of spots in the lineup from some of the young guys.
Talking to our pal Sammy Levit here on Ben and Woods this morning. Now, we talked about Joe. He's had a couple of starts, neither of them really effective. Wanted to ask you what you're hearing, from what he said about what's kind of gone wrong with him so far.
Yeah, look, I think the good news with the starting pitching in general, really two things. Number one, they haven't had great starting pitching yet, right? Whether it was King yesterday, whether it was Cease the day before. Look, I think, to Joe's credit, he was able to work into the sixth inning the other night despite giving up 3 runs early, and that's what we've come to expect from Joe, right? Is even if he gives up some runs early, he has the ability to sort of settle in. And I thought for the most part, on Friday night, he did settle in pretty well and was 1 out away from getting through 6 complete innings. But I think for all these guys, we need to keep in mind just how odd this schedule has been. And that's not to make excuses for them, but I do think it's a reasonable explanation for what's been, for most of these guys so far, a pretty up and down start to the season. And in some cases, they've only had one start here in the U.S. In fact, everybody's had only 1 start in the U.S. But the early ramp up, then having to hop on the flight to Korea, how much that disrupted the normal flow of getting ready for a season, then having to pitch in games that counted, and then in some cases, guys been pitching in spring training games again, and then going back into real games here with all the travel, with kind of the disruption in a normal ramp up. I mean, you guys know this. How pitchers get ready for a season is really particular, and this was a really different spring. So I do think, even though obviously these games are important, we have to be a little patient with the rotation if the results aren't super, super great early on. Now, at some point, it's going to have to get better. But, to this point, I'm not all that surprised that maybe things have been a little bit up and down. And, Joe talked after the game the other night, and I think he understands, some of the things that he needs to sharpen up. But I thought yesterday with Joe in particular, Friday with Joe in particular, look, I thought he settled in pretty well, and he almost got through 6 innings, giving up 4 runs, which is not a quote-unquote quality outing, but you know what? It kept you in the ball game at the time, and then the game kind of got away late. So, look, I think whether it's Joe, whether it's Darvish, whether it's Cease, really anybody, I just think the different nature of this build-up to the season, I do think we've got to be a little patient and a little understanding of what may be some early ups and downs for what's obviously, for the most part, a very talented rotation.
Catch Sam Levit, 5:40 today on the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show, and then after the game on the postgame show. Now, tonight is the drone show, right? After the game.
Okay.
Has anyone ever seen one of these drone light shows before? I'm fascinated by what this is going to look like.
No, I don't know.
Sam, are you going to be distracted during your postgame show by the drone show?
Well, I don't have much information about it. I have seen this before, so I assume that this is the coordinated drone show. So basically, it's drones that light up, and I don't want to say what it is because I'm not even sure that I'm describing it right because I have no part of the planning of this. But when I've seen a drone show before, it's been basically like hundreds or thousands of drones, all coordinated, lit up, and doing all kinds of stuff in the air to make images, and it's pretty cool. I've seen it before, and it is pretty cool. So I was not aware tonight was the drone show, quite honestly, until you told me. But if I can see it from the loft, I will. The bad part is whenever there are fireworks, even, I know just with the fireworks, I don't see them because they're kind of off to my left, and I can't see through the building. So the fans enjoy them. I talk. I'm with you on the radio, and I hope everybody enjoys the drone show. And I'm looking forward to your first pitch tomorrow, which I did not know was happening.
We don't have to talk about it much
until,
more.
by the way, I mean, I can't believe you guys, I haven't heard it at least, and I work for the station. I didn't know about this. So I can't believe you guys haven't said anything about this.
It's possible we're keeping it a bit on the DL just because we don't like to
What
talk about it too
content?
much.
Now I have like a little conspiracy in my head because Woodsy loves content, and there would be some good content if one of you had a terrible first pitch.
I would never. I can promise you it wouldn't come
Mine
from...
might be terrible, but it won't be on purpose.
It won't be on purpose.
I really just want to hit the mitt and get out of there. Head down, off the field as fast as possible.
Yeah, I love content. I don't like fake content.
Okay. What if you get booed?
It's very possible.
It's very possible.
It's very possible.
After or before? If we get booed on the way out, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. If Petco Park just rises up and goes, God, I hate those guys, and boos us as we walk to the mound, I'm going to be a little sad and disappointed. If we throw a terrible pitch and we get booed, we deserve it.
I think you're going to get a nice cheer.
Okay.
If I know anything about the tier ones and 300 people showing up at 3 a.m. and Baja Ricks, I predict you will get a very nice hand, and I'm sure you guys will do just fine. I'm looking
Tier ones, make some positive noise for us when we got there. Sammy, have a good show today. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, guys. Thanks.
And we'll see him out at the ballpark, obviously, tomorrow when we are, throwing out the ceremonial first pitch before the Padres Cardinals game. 97.3 The Fan giveaway.
It's getting real.
I am a very patient fan usually.
Yes, I'd say so.
I have a little impatience about one part of the Padres roster.
Oh.
I want to get it off my chest.
Ooh.
Paulie's going to give us some
Spicy.
Ryle Report headlines as well. Coming up next, final hour of Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I want to get something off my chest, just briefly, about the Padres roster construction. Final hour of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Annie and Elston coming up at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Ryle Report incoming in a moment as well. I understand with Manny Machado still not playing third base and being the designated hitter that the Padres need some infield options, and having Tyler Wade, Eggy Rosario, and Graham Pauley, who are all essentially third basemen. You know, I get that they can all play multiple positions, but right now they have 3 rotating third basemen in their lineup. Is not the most efficient use of your 26-man roster. And I would hope that as Manny gets healthier and gets back into the lineup, I would like to see a lineup in which perhaps Luis Camposano is going to be the DH on days that he's not catching. Now, I know that's tough because you want to get catchers as much time off as possible. It's the most rigorous job, but they're going to need more production out of their backup catcher. Now, Kyle Higashioka's only played once. I'm not saying that Kyle's not the answer for the Padres, but I did see that Brett Sullivan went like 5 for 5 in his first game at El Paso after having a really good spring. I would rather have 3 catchers, including Brett Sullivan, probably as your depth right now on the 26-man roster, giving you more flexibility to use a guy like Campusano and not wear him out behind the plate every day. He's been one of your best hitters. He has your best OPS so far. Granted, it's through 6 games, but we were just talking with Sammy. He was talking about Campusano. When we were at spring training, I think Jesse said off the air to us, I'm expecting maybe a big season from Campy.
Yeah.
And he's off to a great start. You want to get the most out of Luis Camposano you can. And that means you might not be able to catch him 120 games because you want him at the plate as much as possible. So I think you need as much depth at catcher as you can get this season so you can get other guys behind the plate and keep Campy's bat in the lineup as much as possible. Now, you can't do it much with Manny DHing right now.
The only problem that I would foresee is Tyler Wade's a lefty, Graham Pauley's a lefty, Eggy's a righty. If you're going to platoon there, you're just going to have to let, the other thing I've heard is that Pauley's glove is not solid.
True.
And he had a couple of opportunities yesterday, made the grounder, the line drive snuck up on him, he did make the play. The throw to third base for a tag was Hosmer-esque at that point. But, I just heard that that's going to be a little bit of a tough run for him at third base. Who do you send down? Do you send down Eggy? Do you send down
probably
Tyler
right
Wade?
now, because I want to keep at least one lefty, I'd probably send down either Wade or Pauley, so you have a lefty and a righty option at third base.
Yeah, then I'm
and again, I'm not in a hurry because I can't do much of this until Manny's out of the DH spot. But you could put Campy at first base against lefties to give Jake a day every once in a while and, have him work in. He did that. Didn't he do that once or twice? No, Campusano.
Put him at first?
Base. Yeah, against a lefty to give Jake a day off. I know Jake's hot right now, but every once in a while you give him a day off. Or if there's a righty, you can give Kim or Xander a day off and have Jake play up the middle and have Campy still batting in the lineup at first base. Am I totally crazy? Didn't Campy play once or twice at first last season?
I think he might
to keep
have.
His bat in the lineup?
Jeffrey says, is it any worse than Muncy at third for Pauley? No, but Graham Pauley's not Max Muncy with the stick just yet. I mean, Max Muncy, you saw what he did last night. Turned around a lefty, yacked it out of the yard. His defense is absolutely atrocious. But, yeah, if Graham Pauley was Max Muncy offensively, who cares? Throw him out there.
He's
just not there
I
yet.
recognize this is a very impatient take.
It
just
is.
6 games
It's all
into
right.
the season, and I don't think you're going to make a ton of.
Campusano has never played first base.
They've never put him in at first base. All
He's
right.
never played anywhere other than catcher.
All right. Well, just throwing out some ideas out there because I want to make sure.
So you need that third catcher.
Gets his bat in the lineup as much as possible.
You need that third catcher because that it's tough because you do want Campy in the lineup as much as you can. As good of ABs as he's putting together, and again the lack of strikeout that Sammy Levit was just talking about. I did not know that. That's a really good. That's what you want in your lineup, guys that make contact.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as your everyday catcher, it also means 40 some odd games you're not going to have him in the lineup at all unless you can find another way to use him, or you can get more production out of one of your 2 backup catchers because
Sully can play first too. They were working him out.
Yeah, they were working him at first.
He may be a better fit, altogether. But I don't know. I mean, Eggy Rosario did have that late home run. He's got some pop in his bat. Had a really bad base running mistake. But again, comes after a double that he rips in the gap. So I don't know, man. It's pretty tough to look at. Yeah, and many people are saying you'd think we could get Belt and Pham for less than $12 million. I think Brandon Belt and Tommy Pham would sign, today. There were comments over the weekend, Brandon Belt talking about how he was actually blown away that he hasn't had any offers yet. It's crazy.
No offers.
I mean, really nothing.
I mean, Tommy. We've heard. I think the Padres have at least had discussions.
They've had discussions with him. Yeah,
I might imagine other teams have as well. He just hasn't gotten what thinks he's worth at this point. But at some point, you want to take something. It's better than sitting out a season and making nothing. Whatever.
Now that the season's going, it feels like at least every week, almost feels like every game, that number's dropping, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
If you're Tommy Pham?
I would think so. Yeah, because I mean, you're a baseball player. You want to be playing baseball.
Yeah. Now you just say, well. We'll make you the same offer at least, and we'll forget about the week you didn't play and just pay you what we were offering you. Now it's like free money for you at this point. But he's not going to be making more the longer he sits out. That doesn't seem like that's going to be on the table. So we'll see. All right, that's my impatient take. Now let's get to Paulie's Ryle Report
and get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Ryle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Ryle Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Gentlemen, we will start off with a story. Gentlemen. We'll start off with a story that probably could have easily been and don't do this, but we had plenty of stories to choose from this morning. And that is the story in the NFL about Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice. Oh my goodness. A lot of no-nos in this story. First of all, got involved in an accident for street racing in the middle of the morning, I think it was.
Now, there was a Corvette and a Lamborghini. Which one was his?
I believe he was in
At least registered to him.
I believe the Vet was registered to him.
He's got the Vet because it was a Vet and a Lamborghini
Chevy Corvettes
that were street racing, and there was an accident, and some people got hurt, and the Vet took off, and they don't know who necessarily was in it, but they know that it was registered
the Corvette
to Rashee Rice.
It doesn't say for sure, but yeah, involved in a street racing accident on a freeway, and there was. Did you guys see the dash cam?
It was 6:25 p.m. on Saturday.
Yes, and did you see the dash cam video of one of the cars on the freeway?
I just saw one slide into.
Yeah, you can see the guys that get out of the car and then they just start kind of taking off.
It's a good move. They won't get you.
To my knowledge,
so they have people injured. They already know who some of the people are. You think the cops aren't going to figure out?
Yeah,
well, they're still looking for him.
Who's involved in this?
As of this moment, I mean, I checked not too long ago. Police are still looking for Rashee Rice. They have not found him. He's somewhere in the Dallas area, they believe still, but.
What does he think is going to happen? If he just lays low long enough, they're going to forget about it, and he shows up at training camp? What?
Ready to go?
Hello? What? No. What, me? You've been looking for me? I had no idea.
If you're in a Vet, do you even try to race a Lambo? That's the other question I have. Doesn't a Lambo smoke a Vet? It's probably not important, but...
I mean, maybe if it's souped up the Vet a little bit.
People are going Lamborghini.
People call a Corvette a Vet? Yes. People call a Corvette a Vet.
For 100 years. Yeah. A Vet.
I prefer a fuel-efficient, economical vehicle.
I don't understand this. I mean, there's so many cautionary tales about... I mean, Henry Ruggs was a pretty big one. And if you're an NFL player and you're like, you want to race your car, find a track. Do it under the do it under the professional watchful.
By the way, I don't think your team wants you to be even doing it legally.
Correct. I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah. It's no.
So he's toast.
In trouble, I think. Yeah.
Somebody going to take the fall for him? Be like, no, I was driving this car. I mean, they got him on camera. I don't know. It sucks, dude. I'm glad nobody died.
It was tough to see in the video, the dash cam video. I don't know if
Who
there was
it was.
any more. It was tough to see exactly who was driving or who, like, if he was one of them or not. It was a little bit far and from behind, but still not something you want to be even involved with in any way. All right, next up, we spent a few minutes in our last hour talking about our old pal Juan Soto. Very good weekend for the New York Yankees.
Having a nice start.
Yeah, I'd say so. But have you heard the John Sterling call of Juan Soto's home run?
No, I have
We
not
like
yet.
John Sterling calls.
I do love John Sterling.
It's very John Sterling-y.
All right,
Here we go.
ask.
And the pitch hit in the air down the left field line toward the wall. It's gone! It went over the high wall. Juan Soto's first home run as a Yankee. A fly ball down the left field line. There is a Soto photo. A home run in the left field seats. He's wonderful, marvelous. And the Yankees have now taken a 4-3 lead.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Soto photo. So it's like a double.
Yeah.
Soto photo, and then he's wonderful. It's fantastic.
John Sterling's just
He's the
How old is he now?
He's
107
wonderful,
years old.
marvelous.
85 years old.
Still out there getting it, dude.
Can I play?
Still working on Yankees.
Anytime we bring up John Sterling,
You have to play it.
I have to play it, right?
Yeah.
So let me pull it up real quickly. John Sterling. We had John Sterling on the show.
We did?
This was, 3 or 4 years ago now, probably.
I thought it was at the
Maybe
last
even longer.
station.
No, I think it was here.
When he was still a young man of around 80.
81.
I mean, this
maybe?
might have been 2019 for all we know. And so I reached out to John Sterling, texted him, and he called me. This was, 2019. So he called me, and I guess I missed it. I don't remember what I was doing, but I missed the call entirely. And he left me a voicemail. It's only 30 seconds long. It's unbelievable.
It's fantastic.
If you haven't heard this is Yankees legendary broadcaster John Sterling. I still have the voicemail saved on my phone.
Of course.
Yeah, Paul, this is John Sterling. It is 12, I don't know, let's say it's 12:30 on Wednesday afternoon in New York, so it's 10:30 your time.
No,
it'd be 9:30
Right.
your time. Yes. Please. My math was not my strong subject. Anyway, give me a call when you want me on the air. I'd be glad to do it for you. I'd love it, as a matter of fact. So at some point, I'll be home late afternoon.
Okay, all right.
And or tomorrow all afternoon.
Okay,
so just
good.
give a call. Thanks.
Oh, it's so good. Tomorrow or no. Might have an appointment. No, I should be there. I love when you can hear him working it out in his head.
10:30. No,
actually,
it's
9:30.
3 hours. New York City. 3 hours. So 9:30.
So
the
good.
voice?
The voice is so good.
Yeah, Paul, this is John Sterling.
God, listen to those pipes.
Unbelievable. Kills me every single time.
So great.
So good. All right, and then finally, I can't believe this is real, but actually I can kind of believe this is real. I love when there's new trends out there. They usually come from TikTok, and I got a new one here for you guys that I'm actually on board with, I think.
TikTokers discover showering.
Yes.
It's incredible. We shower.
So, I don't know how you guys feel about online gift registries. Some people are
Big
you got
fan.
the baby shower,
Wedding.
then you have do you have the birth of the baby?
Yep.
You have the wedding. Do you have an anniversary? Like, there's a lot of different occasions to
Sure.
give out gifts nowadays. And I guess there is a new trend of people posting online registries, links to their online registry for them getting divorced.
It's fantastic because you need a lot of stuff when you move out.
Probably strapped for cash.
You do, but do you deserve it?
Well,
Like, is that an occasion?
do you deserve it
people
for
should
having a baby?
Do you deserve stuff for getting engaged? Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. Everybody gets married. Everyone gets engaged. Congrats. Here's a Cuisinart.
Here's a toaster.
Here's a toaster.
You need 14
I feel
cutting
like
boards.
it's just as... Like, if one of my friends got divorced, I would say, well, what do you need? Because I know you ain't getting anything. What are you starting with?
you're almost more likely to help to go to that registry
Then two
than
people
any of the
combining
others.
all of their stuff together.
Like,
You already have a
I
bunch
guess
of
it
stuff.
Forget your
does-
birthday, forget your bridal shower.
Yeah,
From
I'm
a,
more
log-
apt to
from a
help you.
logistics
Logistically-
standpoint, it does actually make more sense. From a celebratory standpoint, it makes less sense.
Depends. depends on the people. Depends on what they're getting out of.
It says here, some people think it's a great idea and argue it's even more helpful than providing newly married couples with stuff since they may already have two things.
100%.
Two versions, I've got a cutting board, you've got a cutting board.
Bro,
You don't need to.
When you get married, I mean, Hannah took all my stuff and was like, So if she booted me today, I would have nothing. I don't have a bed. I don't have a couch. I don't have a cup.
I'd have a hell of a lot of Padres
I
giveaways.
got, I'll sleep on piles of records.
I get the bobbleheads.
I've got guitars that would be strewn about my house. I don't have a chair. I don't have a television.
You'd be like Peter Seidler and Eric Katsenda's first house.
Yeah.
That had nothing but a drum set.
That's it. I would have guitars around, a couple of record players. I don't have a desk. We share a desk. I would not have a pot to pee in. Really. I mean, so that I would be a huge benefactor of a divorce registry.
Now, those that are not fans of this are saying that, look, we got you an engagement gift. We got you a wedding gift.
Yeah, guess what? She's keeping it.
If you had kids, we got the kids.
Guess what? They're keeping it.
Gift.
What did I get out of the whole deal?
Well, do you have to register together for the divorce
No,
registry
this
as
is
well?
all single.
So
This
now,
is
what if you're
separate.
friends with both of them? You have to get them both gifts now?
If they both have
If
registries?
they both register.
If they both
Well,
register? You have to
no,
get two
'cause
gifts, separate gifts for each
'cause
one of them?
Usually in a divorce.
Has
there's-
anybody ever maintained friendships with both sides of a divorce?
Very rare.
Right?
Very rare.
Gotta be.
Very. Very.
It's your friends and their
Has
friends.
anyone ever been friends with one person, then they got married, and then they got divorced, and you decided to go with the other person
I
coming
think
out
it
of
happens.
the divorce?
I think it does happen. I mean, when I think about it, I would not have anything. I wouldn't have a blanket, a pillow, nothing. I'd have my clothes, my car, some records, some guitars, some sports stuff, sporting good tees and T-ball bags. No, I would have not a plate, not a cup, not a coffee machine.
Who
nothing.
keeps your Eco Water SoCal home water
See, now that's
system?
installed in the house. I'm in there ripping it out, dragging it along with me to my one-bedroom apartment. I'm telling you.
Taking this GD Eco Water with me.
Yeah, exactly. This is mine. These are my pipes. She would take me to the cleaners.
You wouldn't be able to get it out, though, because I'm assuming you
You
don't
see
have
that
a lot of
couch
tools.
out there in the lobby?
You're sleeping
that
there.
would be my house for about 3 months as I got my finances in order, you guys. I'm serious. When I say I would have nothing, I would have nothing.
Yeah, first I kind of laughed at that headline, and then I go, you know what? That might be genius.
I'm doing it. If she does this, I'm doing this.
If any of my friends go through a divorce,
Just let me know.
Why
I
don't you
got
start
you.
a registry.
Plates, cups, knives, forks. I would eat takeout every day and eat plastic spoons, the whole bit. I'd be the guy saving all the condiments, all of it. Be a nightmare.
Ryle Report,
Thank
well
you,
done.
Paulie.
All right, we're going to take a time out. By the way, I got an update for you on the Padres AAA affiliate, which if the AAA, what is the Pacific Coast League? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We'll come back.
Yeah, is it a
and
good indicator of
we've
where
got,
guys are at?
Eric Clapton tickets to give away as well when we return with Bennett Woods after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Do the Padres and maybe some other West Coast teams have a AAA problem? I mean, we've talked about it for a few years, but the altitudes and thin air of the PCL continues to really play havoc, especially with pitching prospects. Plus, it's no fun for the hitting prospects who have these inflated numbers, and then they get to the big leagues, and it's like, well, this isn't anything like what I was just experiencing with El Paso. Like yesterday, the El Paso Chihuahuas took on the Albuquerque Isotopes, and the teams combined for 14 runs in the ninth inning alone, with El Paso's 8-run top half of the ninth holding on for a 16-15 win. Cal Mitchell, 4 for 5. They had 33 hits in the game. Brett Sullivan homered. He's got a 1430 OPS. That's why got to bring this guy up. He's the greatest minor league hitter in the history of minor league hitters. I know that once you bring him up, those numbers are not going to look anything like it, but it's just as bad for the pitchers. Alec Jacob, 6 unearned runs in the ninth inning allowed.
Oh, my God.
I mean, you're just going to lose all your confidence when you go
6
there.
unearned?
Unearned runs. I mean, it doesn't hurt the ERA, but it's still 6 runs and couldn't get out of the frame without having to surrender himself to Austin Davis, who struck out the only batter he faced to get that save in the 16-15 win for the Chihuahuas.
Imagine getting to the big leagues and you're like, whoo, and now I just have to navigate the Cardinals tonight and not the thin air of El Paso. Yeah, man, I don't know what you
I mean, we saw it with Avila. He was horrible. Waldron was terrible in AAA. They come into the big leagues and
settle in.
Decent, serviceable pitchers in the big leagues, but how are you ever going to figure out who's good and who's not good when they're constantly playing in these environments that aren't really suitable for baseball?
Yeah, I mean, and the offense is the one that, the offense is where you look at it and go, well, he is clearly a monster. And, I mean, we've seen Brett Sullivan at the big league level. I love Brett Sullivan. I think he's a great dude. That being said, I don't think he's going to come up here in OPS 1,400. I would bet the farm that he's not. You put him into everyday.
Take half of that and be kind of happy.
In a heartbeat.
From a backup catcher,
Oh,
710
my
OPS.
God.
I'll sign up for that right now.
Is he hitting balls out of the yard? Yes, you take that all day. So yeah, man, I don't know what you do. It is an interesting conundrum, and this is where we are.
But it makes the Padres think twice about where they're sending the minor leaguers. And we saw this morning that they have assigned more minor leaguers to lower levels, which get their season started on Friday, including Ethan Salas, who's actually taken a little bit of a step back. He finished last year at Double-A, but he's going to start this season at high Single-A, go back to the Fort Wayne Tin Caps to at least begin this year, which I think is
smart.
Is the right spot for a guy who's still 17 years old, won't be 18, I believe, until later this summer. So certainly nothing wrong with being in high Single-A for Ethan Salas.
No.
And I have no problem that he got a little bit of experience at Double-A at the end of last year.
No, none whatsoever.
And he shouldn't look at this as a demotion of any sort. It's just part of the progression of learning to eventually get to the big leagues.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about him, Ben, and based on everything that we've heard from every person in the organization and then what we've seen with our own eyes, yeah, I mean, this is just what you do. So I'm assuming he's probably going to jump up the ranks this year. You'll probably see him back at Double-A, and we'll see how that works for him. And but certainly no hurry.
Let the performance dictate.
Yeah,
and don't be in a rush. If he has a good first week, he doesn't need to come right up to Double-A. But if he has a good first half of the season, then yeah, absolutely, the second half could be spent at Double-A San Antonio if he has a good first half of the season. But let him thrive a little bit somewhere for a while. Don't constantly be just adding to the challenge level every second. It's good to get some confidence. Maybe, start beating up on guys as you're seeing the ball really well and dominating a level before you move up.
It's the old Earl Woods style of parenting, or in this case, developing. Earl Woods, when Tiger was a little kid, and when he was, I think he said he was 10, and he could have been playing up with 15, 16-year-olds. And Earl said, no, I want him beating the ever-loving crap out of the 10-year-olds. Winning tournaments by 15, 16, 17 strokes.
A lot of them here in San Diego at the Junior World.
And then he's going to go to what age is appropriate for him. Could he have beat 20-year-olds when he was 10 or 11? Probably.
In that case, send Ethan Salas back to senior level of high school and see how he does this year.
I'll take him on
I bet he'd do quite well.
I'll take him on the Encinitas Little League bats right now and watch him just murder.
I bet he'd do quite well.
No, it's
playing
just
for any high school team in San Diego this season.
Bro, it's an interesting philosophy. You want him to be exploding out of high single A. You want him to be like, oh, wow, this is clearly not where he needs to be. That's what you want to see from your prospects, in my opinion. So, yeah, good for him. It's going to be fun to watch his progress.
All right, we've got the St. Louis Cardinals coming to town. Take a look ahead at the upcoming series for the Padres in our final segment. Before that, though, we do have another pair of tickets to give away. This time it is to Eric Clapton at Pechanga Arena on October 8th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at AXS.com. But be the fourth caller, 833-288-0973. You can win those tickets right now from Ben & Woods. And we'll be back with a little more Padres talk to wrap things up on a Monday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Congratulations to Katie. Was very excited to win those Eric Clapton tickets. I believe we'll have more to give away throughout the week, so stay tuned to Ben and Woods. Want to get into the upcoming series, though. Padres Cardinals beginning tonight at Petco Park, and we'll do that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Robert Half. Got a few problems wrapping up our morning drive. Stalled car in the slow lane southbound 15 past El Norte Parkway. Also traveling on eastbound King Freeway right around Euclid. We have reports of some debris in middle lanes. And got a vehicle fire on the H Street off-ramp southbound 5. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
So first of all, a little programming note. We will get a more in-depth look at this week's opponent, the St. Louis Cardinals, tomorrow morning here on Ben and Woods, when we will be joined in studio by the Athletics' Katie Wu, one of our favorites. Paulie, what's the time frame on Katie's visit tomorrow?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Let you know.
All right, we will find out. Katie got a mention on Sunday Night Baseball last night.
Ravaged.
For her great work that she's been doing covering the team, as she always does.
She crushes it.
She was also interacting with a lot of her followers who were just up in arms about Ollie Marmol's bullpen usage against the Dodgers, especially on Sunday Night Baseball. And she was just pointing out they had a lot of guys unavailable. Their bullpen was taxed by a 4-game series against, well, a very formidable Dodgers lineup.
And I watched a lot of those games because, again, they were on. Dodger fans, don't flip out. I watch a lot of baseball. They were so mad at me this weekend. Man, they were mad at me. They were. They get so mad that I watch the games and that we talk about them on our show. But why wouldn't you, right? I mean, there were some good games, really interesting.
Key team in Major League Baseball. Win or lose, succeed or fail. I mean, big storyline in baseball this year.
I mean, they get mad when we rip on it, get mad when we watch. Just relax out there, man. We're all friends. Ryan Helsley came in the other night, their closer that throws really, really hard, and he served it up. And you're watching this Dodger team, Ben, grind out ABs, and they belabored the point last night that they're truly never out of a ball game. How could you possibly be when you run that lineup out there? Now, the $700 million man Shohei has actually gotten off to maybe the worst start, but Mookie Betts is the hottest guy in baseball. They kept him, I think, a little under control last night. Were able to get him out a couple times, but they kind of burned their bullpen to get their victory, and then they had a 2-run lead. Or a 1-run lead last night.
Or 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah, and then it was 4-2, and then going into the 8th, it was 4-2. Teoscar Hernandez hit a solo shot to make it 4-3, and then later in the inning with a man on, Max Muncy hit a 2-run shot to give the Dodgers what turned out to be a 5-4 win.
Yeah, I mean, they're a swing away from being 500 as well, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Had they lost that game, they would have split that series with St. Louis. And, I mean, but what they did is they grinded out so many ABs, got into their bullpen. He had to make some moves he probably did not want to make yesterday in Ollie Marmol. But that just means Helsley's fresh. He's ready for tonight. You don't want to get to him. He's pretty nasty. And, other than that, like, their bullpen, they're gettable.
Well, tonight's game is very key in that if you can get to Kyle Gibson early and force the Cardinals into their bullpen early, they're
taxed
in a bit of a world of hurt. So if you can, in the first game of a series, get in and make them use 3 or 4 more relievers. I mean, yeah, they can always save Helsley if they have a save situation, but they can't save everybody, and they're going to have to use guys. So what they're hoping for is that Gibson can give them at least like 6, maybe into the 7th tonight, and give the bullpen as much of a rest as possible. And the Padres want the opposite. They want to force Ollie Marmol to get into that pen early. And then it's Matt Waldron tonight. And then the second and third game of the series, Miles Michaelis, who got roughed up by the Dodgers in his first start, will go against Yu Darvish. And then Wednesday, day game, Zach Thompson against Joe Musgrove. You'll be in better shape for the second and third games of the series if you can get into their bullpen tonight, knowing that they're already coming in taxed and fatigued from the first 4-game series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, you want to you want to stick it to Kyle Gibson tonight. I mean, he's their fifth starter for a reason. Now,
solid fifth starter. I'm surprised, honestly, that he's their fifth starter. I mean, pitches innings.
Matz was great last night.
Matz was.
You'll
miss Matz, who
who
gave him their best start of the year so far. So you'll miss him in this series.
But Kyle Gibson's a guy you can absolutely get to. And that's what you need to do. You need to be aggressive, and you need to go up there, and you need to try to score a few runs early off him and keep the foot down. You want to do that every game. I understand that that's Captain Obvious, but this sets you up nicely if you can go out and have another one of those laughers tonight. And it will be interesting. We talked earlier in the show about we've seen many a Padres blowout followed by a 2-1 loss and an inept offense. So I want to see how they react. And how about for the skipper, Mike Shildt? Opens the season in Korea against the hated Dodgers, comes right back. He's got to face Bob Melvin, who was the guy he replaced, and now he's going up against his old team in the St. Louis Cardinals, who let him go after he had been pretty successful, and they went with Ollie Marmol. So you don't tell me that this series isn't a little bit special for Shilty out there. He wants to take it to these guys.
Yeah, I know. Katie tweeted, next up, Padres and former manager Mike Shildt going to be there. So obviously the Cardinals are thinking a lot about this series, and it's a big one. And I think it was good the Padres were able to get both of those games in this weekend, obviously, because now they get a Thursday off day. Had they both been rained out, there was a chance they would have made the Giants come back on Thursday. They were actually talking about that. I suggested it last week, and apparently it was being discussed. But now the Padres will definitely get Thursday off, and then they'll go to San Francisco for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, the probables for Friday would be Dylan Cease and Jordan Hicks, so a rematch of the Saturday game at Petco Park. The Giants, at least here on the ESPN website, have listed undecided for their Saturday and Sunday games. Michael King, Matt Waldron listed for the Padres. I saw in whether it was his daily or somewhere that Kevin Acee wrote that Blake Snell is not expected to face the Padres again, even though undecided seems like it leaves open the possibility that they could bring him back. I'm not exactly sure what his throwing schedule is, how he looked in his Friday workout that he was supposed to do last week, but I'm not sure, at least from what I've read, that we will see Blake Snell in either of these two series against the Giants. And remember, after this week, Padres will have played more than half of their games against the Giants for the whole season. They'll only have, I think, 6 left the entire remainder of the year. So there's, more than there's a coin flip's chance. You may never even face Blake Snell this year, depending on how their rotation stacks up the next 2 times that you face him. If you happen to, hit it on days where he's already pitched just before or just after the series, who knows if you'll even get a chance to go up against Blake Snell this season. And quite frankly, I don't mind them missing Blake Snell. If
no, me neither.
Don't have to face him, you don't have to face him. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, absolutely not. So we'll be fun to see how the lineup looks tonight. Gibson's is a righty, so we'll see. I mean, does Shilty go back to the Tyler Wade at third base, or does he keep rolling with the kid Graham Pauley? And we'll see how that plays out.
I am also curious. Mike Shilt's been very aggressive in terms of rolling out the stars in the same spot. I mean, it has been Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Manny, Kim, and I think Profar every single game. Has there been one change in the top 6 of the lineup in any game? Well, I think Sugar started for Profar once, but the top 5 has been exactly the same for all 6 games of the season. How long do you keep doing that before someone gets a day off at some point? I'm not saying they're tired at this point in the year, but you're tough. Also
just who do you want to sit?
You got a 162 game schedule. At some point, you got to work in an off day for someone somewhere. Just because you don't want to give everyone an off day the same day. So when is it time to break up that top 5? Because they've all been hitting pretty well. Bogarts is off to a good start in the leadoff spot. Tatis has gotten hot. A couple of home runs, obviously, on Saturday, hitting the ball hard. Jake is red hot. Manny, average-wise isn't quite there, but he has, a couple of home runs and is driving in runs. And Kim just hit a home run and is starting to heat up as well. You don't really want to take anyone out of the lineup, but you can't just say, all right, you're all in for 162, I think, top 5. But when do we see a change at all to the top of Mike Shilt's lineup?
That's tough, too, because, we talked about this bench a few weeks ago, and the bench is not your favorite part of the San Diego Padres, I don't think, So the guys that you can spell are guys you may not want in there anyway right now. You know what I mean? Like you said, with 3 third basemen essentially on the roster, you could play Tyler Wade somewhere else, right? But is that doing a lot for you? I did like yesterday in the blowout, Schilt pulling some guys.
Early,
yeah.
And they also got pulled the other way in the blowout on Saturday night when they were down 9-1. A couple of guys skipped the last couple of innings.
Which is fine by me.
So
he's managing that fairly well.
So if you're going to get guys off their feet, it doesn't have to be at the start of the game. And, just because you don't start, like Max Muncy didn't start last night for the Dodgers, ended up getting 2 at-bats and having the key go-ahead home run late in the game. You still always have to kind of be ready to come in when you're a position player. This isn't Gabe Kapler's team where, hey, if you're off, might as well just
go home.
Take a spa day. We don't need to see you at the ballpark.
Spa day, by the way.
Take your time. Go get a massage. Watch a movie. We'll see you at the ballpark tomorrow.
I think you'd like playing for Gabe Kapler.
I think I would. If I'm off, I want to be off.
But he gives you a day off. You take it.
You don't have to sit there waiting for a pinch hitting appearance. I mean, that would be stressful. If I had to sit in the dugout all game wondering what 100-mile-per-hour thrower I'm going to end up having to go in against,
terrible.
How is that a day off? That's just more stress. I'd rather just be in the game the whole time.
It's torture. It's absolutely torture.
Than just sitting there waiting. All right. Someone with a nasty slider who throws 98 is who I'm going to have to go up against later today. Thanks a lot for the day off, Skipper. Really appreciate that.
Yep, for sure. Looking at some usage in the bullpen, Avila's probably pretty worn down. He's thrown 55 pitches in the last couple of days. Kolak has actually thrown 41 pitches in the last couple of days.
That was all yesterday. In that one bad
Friday,
inning, wasn't it?
Yeah. Cosgrove, 31 pitches on Saturday. He'll be ready to go today because he didn't throw on Sunday. Brito will be ready to go today, I would imagine, after 24 pitches on Saturday. So
De Los Santos, Suarez, all should be good to go.
Yep.
And Matsui, even though he pitched yesterday, he's been so efficient. He
keeps
been
great.
Coming back. You feel like you can use him a lot. I mean, he's a new favorite of Pitching Ninja with that splitter. When he throws it right, that thing just disappears. It looks like it's going like thigh high, and all of a sudden it's bouncing in front of the plate. It is one of the Bugs Bunniest of pitches right now in Major League Baseball, and he looks like a tremendous find so far from A.J. Preller in that offseason signing.
And I know the Cardinals went up against, who'd they go up against? Glasnow, Bobby Miller, just a couple of electric power arms. They went up against Gavin Stone. Who am I missing? They went up and Yamamoto. I mean, they faced 3 really
Matt Walter
nasty.
will be quite the change of pace
He
with
will.
that knuckleball for them today.
Well, exactly. I'm sure it's the last guy they want to see, too.
Probably,
after struggling,
Yeah.
If the guy's going to throw his knuckleball, it's not the greatest recipe for getting on track. But offensively, man, they do not look good. You want to keep them down. You want to keep Arenado. Guy isn't even batting 100 yet. He murders this team. Keep him quiet. He looks all sorts of confused up at the plate right now. So you want to make sure you keep that going. You know they're going to play probably pretty good defense against you. So they've got some young players that are really exciting to watch. Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, really, really fun players. The kid, Victor Scott, they were talking to his parents on the game last night. He's fast as lightning. So you just want to keep these guys down and out a little bit.
And remember, this is a team that some people, expect to be a potential playoff contender at the end of the season. I didn't pick them, but I know some experts thought that they could contend for a division title or even a wild card. So you can never think too early about tiebreakers, and you want to win these games against potentially a team that you're matching up against later in the season, trying to sneak into the postseason. So every game is important. That's the biggest lesson we took from last year, that there are no unimportant games in the baseball season. Otherwise, you end up wondering what happened to those 2 games that would have gotten you into the playoffs at the end of the year, and looking back and regretting so many other performances.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any games Padres regret so far this season. I mean, the ball going through Jake's glove obviously was unfortunate, but I don't think you've played one where you go, man, we just gave one away in this game. They've had bad pitching performance, bad inning from Cosgrove on Saturday, but there's no game where you felt like, God, we were dominating. We let that one get away that we should have won.
Well, which makes you a little nervous because you get that feast or famine feeling again.
True.
That's not the feeling that you want if you're a Padres fan necessarily. Tonight will be an interesting watch. It always is. But the feast or famine thing from last year is just what killed us. I mean, it just killed us. like personally, the fan base, and it had to have killed the players too. So hopefully they keep that in mind, come out tonight and just go after Kyle Gibson and know that the lineup, you're better than him. You're better than him. You can handle him. So that's going to be something to watch tonight. Would love to see some runs early. And, like you said, get into their bullpen ASAP because they're beat right now.
And the drone show after the game, so you can stay in your seats and enjoy a different form of entertainment. I'd imagine if you are one of those noise-complaining downtown residents, you prefer a drone show over a fireworks show.
Do you? It's just a bunch of...
I don't know if you can hear them or not. If they're high enough in the air that you hear the buzzing noise.
Maybe.
I've never been to a drone show, so
either. It's
definitely a
brave new
different
world out there.
experience. And then
I've
tomorrow,
never actually been to a anything after a game.
And then
I've
tomorrow's
never
the
stayed for a
day,
full
so
game.
we may be tossing some baseballs downstairs.
Oh, we will.
After the show here today.
We absolutely are.
A little warm up for our first pitch tomorrow. So we'll get to that. I see Annie and Elston are here. They are coming up next for 4 more hours discussing the weekend that was Padres basketball and more. But that is it for us today. A good show to start the week. Thank you to all the Tier 1s for checking in and supporting, as always, Paul Ryle, our executive producer and imaging director. Thank you. Doing a nice job, as always. Woods giving me the April 1st business back there. For Woodsy, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Monday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.